Welcome, crew, new listeners, guys, gals, ghouls, and anyone else out there beyond the omniverse that's listening or watching this evening. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, July 16th, Monday, July 17th, for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, Tessa TNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. If you're watching us live right now, you may be watching us on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube and Twitch. If you want to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, make sure you look us up under We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and Podfy. If you don't mind, move on over to our YouTube. Please subscribe, like any video that you've watched or listened to. Leave us a comment, and let us know what guests you'd like to have on our show, and we'll try our damnedest to get them on here. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we have Travis Willier Moostoos, and he is an actor, writer, painter, and musician. Has starred in APTN's Secret History of the Wild West and many other shows across different networks. You can find his books online under the name Radiant Summer Moon at royalroad.com, as well as his music on YouTube under Planetary Wisdom. And he also does some of his tarot card guidance on the channel named Blue Lightning Cards. Travis is also certified in medicine wheel teachings since 2009 and is an active paranormal investigator, helping people across Canada with investigations into the paranormal from ghosts to UFOs. Learning his ancient teachings from his family and elders of his community, Travis Moostoos is a First Nations Cree from northern Alberta, Canada, and is here today to share his life experiences from the spiritual realms to the star beings and beyond. Welcome, Travis, and thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Tessa, for having me again. It's been a while since our last forum anyway, but it's so great to finally, get a chance to speak on the radio once again and say some hellos. And how you doing?
Pretty good. It's damn hot in here.
All right. Yeah. I could feel that, definitely. Over here too, like I said, all the smoke and everything. It is just like a real, just a humid environment kind of deal. And not really humid. I mean, like a real dry and kind of hot environment. I mean, anyway.
So you still have fires going on up there?
Yeah, we still got a lot of smoke and everything going on. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's still a little further. Like I said, it's further from my area, but it's still like the smoke is very much all over, right? So.
Yeah, it's been intense. I've been seeing videos of it even reaching all the way to New York and such. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Those pictures always they got me good too. Or it kind of look like that movie. What is it, Blade Runner? It looked like that, like with the orange sky and just like almost like a, what do you call that? A desolate future kind of deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was also watching videos where like the helicopters were going to dump, whether it's water or some sort of fire retardant, and they were actually like spreading fire. Like, did you see those videos? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, I've seen them. I've heard other cases where it's like it's called a fire break. So it's like an area that's been like already a kind of like I should say kind of closed off and worked with. They make like a fire break line. They have like a bunch of bulldozers go into the forest and kind of create a line, and then they burn a little bit of it. So it kind of like if the fire meets up with that line, it will just kind of get stuck there. But people are allowed to think whatever they want to think, right? But I'm just saying, like there's all these little techniques and things that they've tried over the time, especially when it comes to firefighting crews and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah. Man, I don't envy those guys, but grateful for them and what they do.
Yeah, my buddy's been like nonstop flying in attack choppers, like dropping water buckets and whatnot, right? So it's like he's been like going at it for like how many months straight now, right? Since May, beginning of May.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's insane. Job security, I suppose.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, no, it's been good. I'm happy to be back here. Yeah, I've been busy lately with everything, all sorts of paranormal. I haven't really been like there's been a lot of thunderstorms and stuff like that, but I haven't really. I maybe got like one video in the last like couple months just because of all the smoke in the air and like the rain and whatnot. So, but I managed to get like one like kind of like quick glimpse of a craft in the sky, and I got a better phone. So when I was like getting close, it literally like just blacked out my screen when I was getting too close to it. So they do that still. They still do that, like, you know, and I was like, all right, maybe just not the time right now, you know, for that. But
Dang it.
yeah. Yeah, maybe just that ship model had that kind of you know, modification to it where they can get, you know, the pictures either blurred out or it shuts down the camera or whatever, you know. But yeah, other than that though, like I said, a lot of different kind of paranormal experiences as well, like spiritually and also like with like kind of like dark energies, like entities like attaching to houses and stuff like that too. Like I've had to recently go help a few people. The one guy came and asked me to go help him out because his place was it was like real early in the morning too. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and he came by and he was all freaked out. And I was like, okay, come chill out for a second. Tell me what happened. And then he told me what happened, and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of like something different, like, you know. And so I went over there and helped him out. And when I was there, I was like, it was like early in the morning, probably like 4 or 5, like about around that time later. And the sun was just coming up, and I was literally seeing like dark energies just like leaving that house, like just with the morning light when I was like, after I was like doing the prayers and stuff. Yeah, so it was like, you know, by that time when the prayers were completed and things, right, and you just literally see this distortion of black energies just leaving the house back into the sunlight, just like getting this, you know, dissolved. It's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And he literally went back in, and yeah, it was like he said it was better, felt better and stuff like that. But he was literally tripped out about, you know, what was going on over there. And
So was that like a new thing for him, or had this haunting been going on for a while?
He said this was like he knew it was something different, like something was messed up. That's why he came to me, because he was like, yeah, man, this is something else. He kind of, you know, he had no one else to go to, kind of deal, like, you know, and he's kind of freaking out, like, this is something, if I, you know, like he knew that something was messed up. And so I had to go help him out there. And yeah, and so I did that. That was something recent too. And then you know, we did the whole residential school in Jussard area, St. Bruno's residential school, which was burnt down in 1968, but it started in 1903. It was a you know, I guess a movement across Canada for these residential schools by John H. MacDonald, and he wanted to, like, you know, to his words, kill the Indian kind of deal. So all these little Native kids were taken from homes across Canada, like by, you know, like in large amounts, like large numbers, whole reservations. Like you know, the police would just go in with social services and just like take kids from houses, and if people didn't give them up, they got shot or they got thrown in jail and stuff. So like, you know, it was like a real, you know, tragic time, right? So, but yeah, all these kids were taken to these residential schools and horribly beaten and abused by these you know, Catholic priests and nuns. And a lot of these people were just like real, like evil people, like using the word as a mechanism for, you know, to people to commit these hate crimes and whatnot, right? So it's kind of it's kind of like a, you know, it's a very tragic thing. Some of the things I've heard, some of the stories, like, and definitely evil was going on in that place, because like the elders, the stories I heard from them, like their accounts, they were telling me, like, even at night when when they're sleeping in the bunks, like they had like separate floors, like the boys had a separate like area, like a whole floor separate area, and girls had a separate area, kind of deal, whatnot, right? But anyway, during the night, they're sleeping. They look over and they see their words. Like these are the elders' words, not mine. But they said they seen some devils jumping on the beds back and forth. But that obviously those are some dark entities, some dark evils, right? Like jumping on the empty bunk beds, like scaring the kids, right, at night. They all scream and the nuns come in there and hit them, right? And they were scared to go use the washrooms and stuff like that. This one lady told me she literally she went to the washroom out there and she said she heard someone else using the last stall, and she went, and then when she got out, there was nobody in that bathroom but her, and then all the sinks just turned on just at the same time, and she went running out there. Yeah, like so, like the place is literally haunted, like, and that's, you know, and then I've heard more messed up stories about like the place, like from the about abuse side and whatnot, but you know, I mean, that's not up to, I don't really want to share that here right now, but yeah, it was like but like yeah, on the other note though, another one of the cooler side of things was because like we always believe in the Akakosakisamnak, you know, the Star Nations, it was like the Star people, so we always believe in them as like you know, our ancestors, our connection, we came from them right from the Star Woman landing here, right, and on Earth first, and so we always had this, like, you know, this giant belief in it. And so like my own relative, my own cousin, she told me when she was going to school there, she even had her sister there to like confirm this, because like they said one day they're all the kids are playing outside the residential school area and they're all having fun. It was a nice bright day, clear day, sunny day, and all of a sudden they just said, her words, like not mine, her description too, she's like, and it's the best description ever, she's like, it was like seeing these like long little silver bullets like just floating in the sky, like, and one of them was a star, and there was like one of them that was a star, and then I was like, oh really? And then one of her, she's like, yes, and she had a tattoo of it on her arm, like that's how much it affected her from that when she was a kid. Yeah, and she's like, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It was a metallic star just spinning in the sky, and I'm like, whoa. And she's like, and then all the kids were like, oh, to the nuns, like, what are those? And the nuns were like, those are just balloons. Those are balloons. Like, you know what I mean? And then those ships started coming closer, right? And then the nuns were just like, they're like, they started getting scared. They started doing the signs of the cross. Oh, the kids get inside, and started freaking out and getting right. Yeah, they got scared of the balloons, right? And but yeah, no, so they brought them all inside and tried to convince them that it was balloons, right, and lie to them and whatever, right? But that's not the only like interesting story of that juicer area. Like there's a whole bunch of them over the time, like even to seeing Bigfoot tracks, to seeing like red orbs going to empty abandoned houses, and you know what I mean, things like that, like entering the chimneys and stuff. Like these are like over the time, right? Like, but yeah, it's been, you know, there's been strange happenings around that little lake town and in my area. So that's kind of something cool there to share. I figured I'd share that here.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask you about Bigfoot too, because like there's so many sightings all over the world and there's different names for it. Do you guys have a particular name for it when it comes to your tribe, the Cree?
Yeah, Mistaya Napuyo, the big man.
Wow.
And yeah. Yeah, that's what we call them. Even like a lot of times in ceremony, they'll be like, "The big man's here," and you'll hear that, and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you get some messages or you get some guidance, or usually sometimes they're there to help with healing and or bringing help channeling the energies and stuff to this, you know, the ceremony in itself. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they'll bring part of their energy to it, right? So it's kind of nice. It's always welcome, and you know, that's like, you know, the guardian eagles too and all that, right? Come into the sweat lodge. One time I heard a buffalo just breathing on me and stuff. Yeah, it was real awesome. Yeah, there's these real like you know, like it's very cool connections, especially to Bigfoot. Bigfoots were always like very like they're always dealing with dimensional realities and portals, and they've been around for like they've been around for ages. Like for us, like they've been part of the culture, part of like the ceremonies. Like every time we always talked about them, and a lot of their the ways they were very intricate with trees, and like how they buried their dead under the trees, and like that was like always like their cycle of life. Like they considered like if they were born on this earth, then they give back to the earth and bury themselves under the trees. And And it's just like they have that same belief, like it's like life and death, and then life goes on, and like it's always like the love is always the guidance, even in the spirit world. Like that's really the true, your only sight in the next life is your love inside of you. So it's like they always have these like real beautiful teachings and songs, and they're always there for like I said, sometimes the healing too, with mud and stuff like that. And yeah, it gets intense. It gets intense.
Yeah, and it's funny because, one of their things as far as Bigfoot doesn't exist, well, why haven't we found bones? Well, that makes total sense. They're burying their dead. And,
Yeah.
as humans, we've always thought, hey, we came up with that premise. But recently there was a find in a cave where um, these individuals that are before Neanderthal, they are saying, as far back as they went, were burying their people uh, in caves, like way down deep in these caves. It was pretty intriguing.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I heard something like that. I don't know if it's Cro-Magnon or something like that. One of those older guys. Yeah, you're right. And they were maybe Anglo-Pithecus or something like that. But I don't know. One of those wild freaking names anyway. But yeah, one of those guys. Yeah, they definitely started it was like it what do you call it? It was right from the Atlantean times. You would bury your dead and stuff like that. You'd mummify them and stuff like that. There's all these different things Atlanteans did, and that was one of them, was the burials, and the 9 government kind of leadership, and a whole bunch of other things, like even all the the building to the sacred temples and ley lines and all that. The Atlanteans they started all that for the wisdom and the clarity of the people and the civilization at the time that was spread across the world. And yeah, it was it's a lot of things we still take from to this day. Like even the 4 directions is a Atlantean teaching that came from the Olympus. Yeah. Like in the original Atlantis wheel, though, it was different colors because the skin colors were different back then, right? And the different different times, right? So yeah, there's a few different little things. So, but yeah, even the Egyptians use the 4 directions as well, and and then that's really because like a lot of the like the 4 seasons and all that, right? We're all very much connected, and yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. Like I said, it all branches from Atlantis to some degree, and Lemuria.
Yeah. As far as Atlanteans, there was a YouTube video. I've been watching this guy, and he plays like all kinds of different uh, things as far as like history and strangeness of the world and stuff. And there was 2 little black kids with blonde hair, and they were talking about how far back their genealogy had gone or whatever, like basically some of the first humans ever known of. And I sent that to my daughter, and I'm like, I wonder if these guys are like descendants from the Atlanteans. I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
Many of us are. Yeah, many of us are. It was actually, that's like what Atlantis was. It was like a almost like a coming together of many different races from other planets, and like this is like all early Iridonis times, like from when we all started meeting each other, like in the galaxy, and then to intergalactic trade, and literally a lot of these planets and things. And then like a lot of the relationships kind of went south because of reptilian the evil ones, the dark forces. They started feeling like because they didn't need at the time, they actually did have like a real like reptilian form, and they were like one of the species, like among other species, like there was Iridonis bird, Iridonis mammals, reptiles, insectoids, you know what I mean, like cat, dog, humanoids, all that, right, was going on back then. And so like these guys, the reptilians, they felt like, because they were a lot more stronger and stuff like that than most of the races, they felt they were number one, and like because they didn't need to evolve, and so they felt like they should be rulers of the galaxy. And that's just kind of what started off their whole, like I guess, their evil campaign. in a sense, to take over the galactic trade routes, and this is like the start of the first Great Galactic War, and literally they took over they subjugated a few of the other races, ET races, namely the Greys, and used them with their technology combined with their couple billion year old technology to I should say hollow out planets and asteroids. They were able to take the Greys and further them with genetic hybridizations, and not further them, but further their own technology, so they can make the master I'll kind of get into this. What in their mind was going to be the master race anyway, but so they ended up going to war with a lot of the Lyrians, because the Lyrians had three planets in their system, and they wanted to destroy them. They didn't at first. They wanted to take them over, subjugate them, but the Lyrians didn't want to give up. So they ended up destroying them. They destroyed the cat planet and the dog planet, and a lot of the Lyrians on the third planet were Venusians as well. So Venusians got brought into this, and they actually went to war with the reptilians on their moon base. And at the time, they had a lot of bases on the moon, and they ended up destroying a lot of those, and it was like an all-out battle. A lot of the reptilians took refuge back on their bases they had on early day Earth, and it was just kind of like a lot of their bases were underground and also on the ground. Like the ancient Lemuria and Atlantis were kind of they originally were dragon cities. Like, everybody has to know this. They originally were reptilian cities. Like, they were known as the twin dragon cities. One was female and one was male. Yeah. And anyway, so these dragon cities, it was like I said, it was a big war. So it ended up becoming a huge fight. The Venusians and the Maldek people of Mars ended up kind of combining forces to fight in this solar system here, in this solar system, and they ended up it was a back and forth battle for 30,000 years or so. And Atlantis was it was a kind of a different world. It was starting to take different, it was starting to get destroyed in different ways, different conflicts. Eventually, what ended up happening was there was a huge call out to the galactic force, the galactic light out there. There was a galactic council that actually came together, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to send down some help to stop this war and bring an end to this, these reptilians on the surface of Earth kind of deal, right? So they ended up sending a bunch of Pleiadians, and there was many different races in the Pleiadian systems, not just what people think the Pleiadians are. There were so many different kinds of them. They ended up coming out here, and we ended up landing and fighting a lot of the reptilians. We beat them out of Lemuria and Atlantis, and sent a lot of them a lot of them left down to inner Earth, and some of them left back off planet and stuff. But for the most part, Earth was taken back and saved by the ancients. And what ended up happening after that was Atlantis was taken. Well, the Pleiadians moved in with the Atlans, and we just ended up kind of creating this whole new society. For a couple thousand years, things are at peace. We ended up clearing and killing a lot of the dinosaurs, because of the dinosaurs. There was already naturally evolved insects and reptiles and animals on this planet, but when the reptilians were here, they took it a little bit further with their genetic hybridization with the Greys. They kind of made the deformed T-Rex dinosaur. Why did it have little deformed arms? Now these little they ended up creating abominations in the seas, and a lot of and where a lot of these ley lines were, they ended up leaving a lot of their dragon, bigger creation dragon monsters in the cave systems, in these old temples and stuff, and because they worship these things, right? And so what I'm getting at is so we killed a lot of those things. A lot of them went underground. A lot of the dragons were still located underground in temples and stuff like that. Above ground too, in kingdoms that were across the lands, and unknown places, unknown temples that were built by the reptilians, and in unknown times, right? But what I'm getting at is, after a while, the reptilians still moved their way back in. They still came back, but they came back through a special way, through hybridization. They still stole people from around Earth and made their own humans underneath the Earth with the hybridization with them. And they ended up making themselves like they made their own people, but with reptilian blood and bloodlines. And these people were able to move through the public, and they were super smart, and they were able to like find their ways into the powerhouse of Atlantis, and they were able to find positions of power. And then slowly the corruption came through, and what they needed to do was corrupt the Atlantean beliefs and spirituality, so that they could send their demons from the astral world to affect the upper surface of the Atlantean populace. So when they got their priests in, because like that's what they originally were reptilian priests, right? And they were like spiritualists, so they ended up like seeping in there and like withering away the light of the people, and then slowly the corruption happened, and there was like a split between the spirituality and and then once things started to fall, and people stopped paying attention, and they started using technology and building technology under the ground, which was able to cause a polar shift and a few other things like seismic activity, which actually sank the old continents of Lemuria and Atlantis in time. And then after, what ended up happening after, Poseidon and Atlantis went down, and all the extraterrestrials and a lot of the blue people and stuff like that, and what like Amara Mu and a few other like special extraterrestrial individuals were able to get up and leave Atlantis, because they had this foretelling of it coming. Like when they seen Lemuria go down, they're like, okay, we got to get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of them ended up taking a lot of the spiritual artifacts and portaling out into like cities underground, making their own temples underground, because they feared like the idea of like another asteroid coming, or or different things like happening, like and they just weren't prepared for any of that. So like they ended up making like temples around the earth, and hiding a lot of their secret schools in different parts of unknown regions of the four corners of the world, right? And a lot of these teachings are still out there to this day and alive. But what ended up happening though was for years after that, people walked the surface of Earth, and they found these kingdoms. And these kingdoms were just like open. They were just magnificent palaces from the Atlantean times, and they'd go in there and they'd find these reptilian dragons and abominations inside of them, and they'd have to slay these dragons in order to become the kings and queens, or whatever the rulers of that kingdom, right? So like there's all these tales of that, and like you hear about these things, and this is the case. This is why they have these tales. And like I said, it was just a different time for thousands of years after Atlantis and Lemuria fell. It was just like a kind of like a free for all, where people and reptilian kings, like, because even the dragon emperor king like of China found a temple and just took it over and started their dynasty in 3232 or something like that. Circa, you know what I mean? Like, and he was a dragon emperor known for having a reptilian face and everything. Like he was but he was a man, you know what I mean? But he knew how to lead the civilization and rose up and did that, right? And so like there's it was for a while there was just people taking over kingdoms, and it's yeah.
It's crazy too, because like I've been seeing videos of lizard people, and a lot of times they're reporters, which like you're saying, like they're distorting beliefs, or they're sharing news that a lot of times isn't accurate. It's just to kind of mind f us. But it's pretty interesting how they have jobs like that, or I've seen them as like bodyguards or whatever for political people, and I don't know,
Right.
It's insane. And they can only tell like by the way they blink, or sometimes their eyes will get the little slit in there or whatever. I don't know how they do it, but like you said, they were mixing themselves with like the human genome, or
yeah, they did that, in Atlantis times, and they literally made like human hybrids, Nordic hybrid, reptilian hybrids, and these guys can walk literally like in public and be just taken as a regular human, you know what I mean? Like these guys, but they have that bloodline, it's a wild one. But like I said, a lot of us are we are like descendants of this Atlantean time, from some of us are Venusians, some of us are from Maledek people, Mars people, and some of us are from Pleiadians themselves, you know what I mean? Like it gets wild,
for sure. And then like they call it Middle Earth or whatever, like inside the world supposedly there's still a civilization there and they have gardens and all this other stuff. And I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, I wonder how they're able to grow their gardens. I wonder if it's, I don't know, how the heck do they do it? But supposedly like they're really advanced people.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The crystals glow, and then also a lot of the mushrooms glow too, which is kind of funny underground. So a lot of this bioluminescent light can actually grow underground, grow any kind of crop underground. And then also too, the technology is very advanced. Like it's like a sonic resonance with frequency ties into the light, and it amplifies it, and like they're able to like make a crop grow overnight, like one single crop like,
Wow.
overnight. Yeah, so it's not even like there's no food shortage or any worry about food or having to wait for food months like we do. It's like it's all love and willpower by the people themselves. Like it's like it's a very unique connection to all that. So that's just kind of like what I've been told anyway, like from the stories and whatnot. Like literally, like vines can reach down and open portals and stuff like that from the roof of the earth and whatnot, right? These people are quite advanced in their own ways. That given last time I was seeing stuff down there, I was getting any kind of visions, was like it was like an ancient temple, reptilian temple and whatnot, and there was like a whole bunch of us flyers there, and we're able to energy sensors. I should say, I guess I guess just people who are like the front line of like the Earth's energy grid, I guess, you know what I mean? So anyway, I was called to this area underneath the Earth, and there was like an reptilian stronghold there, an ancient city. I don't know if this is a remnant of time or if that was there currently, but we ended up clearing that out, and what ended up forming after that from our energy and the healing that we're bringing to that zone was like the crystals and whatnot were like started forming a different kind of like I should say like a palace and whatnot, and it was like it was like a fortress for Arcturians to meet up in. There was like a whole bunch of Pleiadians and different kind of like energy elemental spirits are able to meet up in that, bring healing to that part of the land again, right? And yeah, even like I was even seeing like knights like in blue armor and like
Oh
silver
wow.
helmets and stuff, and yeah, it was like different kind of spirits. So it was like literally like a very spiritual thing. Like it was like to build a fortress on a dimensional level for the spirits and the light beings to kind of gather again into, within bringing that love back into Earth kind of deal, back into the womb. But yeah, into the matrix, I should say, because that's essentially what it means, right? Is
Right?
mother. So yeah, just it's like it's a wild one.
For sure. There's so much crazy stuff going on, and it just feels like every year it just accelerates a little more.
Oh, right. And yeah, exactly. Even right down to connectivity, like psychically, people are becoming more connected, and like energetically, a lot of the things is just like I'm seeing a lot of very much connectedness, and it's very good. I'm happy when I see that though, because like it gives me an opportunity to see what kind of I should say research or work they've been doing. You know what I mean? Because we compare, and then it helps out, right? So it's always nice to see when people are on similar track, or they've seen similar things, and it's like, oh yeah, that's yeah, you're seeing it. That's great, because like it helps confirm a lot of like cool little things, and but yeah, it's great. It's really wonderful. I'm happy with all these changes that everybody's getting out there. I mean, I'm getting a lot of the other side of it too. People are like, oh, I can't stand this. Like, this is just terrible. Just like, I don't like this change. And it's like, people don't like change sometimes. But it's like, it's all part of the process. This is part of the wheel, of time, of life, of everything. We all learn and experience and grow. And it's always changing. You know, the water, if you ever look at the water, even on a flat lake like mine, it's still moving no matter what. You know what I mean? Like it never stops. You know, it's always changing. You know, even though it looks still, it's it's still moving. You know, and
Right.
so that's just kind of like
Yeah.
how like.
Continue. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was trying to hear what you said.
Oh, no. So when you're talking about Middle Earth or whatnot, and you're going down in there and you're doing these battles and stuff, because a lot of people don't understand, you're talking about doing it astrally. Like, how exactly do you go there?
All right. So yeah, it's like a very energetic thing. It all depends. It depends on like sometimes like I've entered through different parts of the world, like through the tops, like this is like this is very connected in like astral travel, remote meditation, insight, whatever, however you want to describe it. But this stuff is very it's very much real, because it's like you're getting all this information through your senses and your inner sight. So it's like your dimensional spiritual being is interacting with this matrix, right? This other dimensional frequency, that this wave function, right? And it's the part that affects all the world around us. Like for things to happen here in this dimension, it has to happen out there in that dimension first. You know what I mean? Like and then we kind of like so what I'm getting at is we end up going in there, finding, feeling out the energy of the grid, Earth's energy grid, and we find a place like, especially if it's, it could be top surface, but usually it's underground. One time we're over India, and this one is another inner Earth story, but this is we ended up finding it was like a turbine. It was like this weird turbine was turning underneath the city, but it was powering this. It was almost like a dish or some sort of radar dish, but it was like to block people's frequency of light. Like, so it was like to block their prayers from reaching the light. So we ended up taking apart, dismantling this this machinery, right? This turbine. There's like a whole bunch of us meditators were all there, and what ended up happening was this giant creature they had guarding the thing started like slithering out, and it was this mercury worm, or mercury, like it was like a giant creature, and we ended up me and Buddy there, we ended up fighting it and using our ways, and we ended up just like dismantling it too. And what fell out of it was these red rupees. And no word of a lie, this guy's from Finland, but he has the spirit of a hobbit, so I always like to refer to him as the Hobbit. But he ended up going off. He's like, those rupees they're Anunnaki souls. They were using Anunnaki souls to power this creature. I'm like, wow, man, like that makes so much sense. Or
Right?
yeah. And so we freed the Anunnaki souls to Galactic Federation of Light, and a few other things like we did it during that time, and ended up shutting down that dish so like the prayers would reach the light now, and different little things, clearing up that area. But this was like all inner Earth stuff, because it was within the Earth, right? And a lot of ETs, like their technology they'll set up, it's kind of funny, because like when we set up technology, or we do things, we expect it right away, instant action. Like they're kind of like they'll set things up like, well, let's drop it off on that planet and we'll see it in a couple million years, or our kids' generation will see it, or like a million years, 1,000 years from now, or whatever, right? Like and also too, like the relativity of like larger planets and different orbits and stuff like that. One day can equal fucking 15 years on Earth or something, you know what I mean, like on their planet. Like, so it's just kind of like it's all connected in that sense. Yeah, it's a wild thought. I know what I'm saying, but all right, so it's like how can I put this right? All right, at the energetic level, the physical universe, all information is available at all times. You know what I mean? Like, and that's proven. That's a proven study. You know what I mean? And so like to tap into the like the frequency or energy and make that connection, all levels of information in the universe become available. And that's what astral traveling is. That's what remote viewing, remote meditation is. It's like it's really what you're interpreting the universe's data codes and frequency to relay through. You know, like the Matrix, you're just staring at those like numbers in a grid. You know what I mean? Like that. Like it's just like
Like that
it's not.
code.
Yeah. It's just like seeing the code, but through light. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And at first, it's kind of like you're just getting like little structures, or you'll get little shapes, and then after a while, things start taking form. Like you'll start, like when you start really breathing into your meditations and start finding those inner places, or those places where the inner sight takes you. Those you start to build, it starts to build, and then the mind just starts connecting with these things. For me, at first, it was real hard for me to connect with anything like that. Like it took me a few years of just sitting there and not seeing anything but just like different changing colors of light in my mind, right? Like it just took years. And because I was a yoga practitioner and I did work a gym for like 7 years, like, and I always had this extra time to sit around and meditate, right? So, but like, a lot of it did come from my first ever experience in astral travel was during my fast, and when I was seeing things in in the forest, and all of a sudden I was just like, I closed my eyes and opened my eyes, and I was just like outside my mom's house there, and like behind my mom's area. I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? I should be like a couple miles away, like 10 miles away right now. Like, what am I doing here? And then all of a sudden there's a guy smoking, and he turns into a bear and leads me back in the woods, and I wake up back in my area again. You know what I mean? Like these things, like, are very yeah, so like these things are, for me to discover astral travel is very very, very different, but also very hardship too, because I suffered hard on that fast, man. It was like, it wasn't easy. Like on that third day, like I was just like, I was pretty much dying, right? Like I was dying, and I wanted to quit so bad and everything. Like it was so bad, like, but I was like, I can't, this is my connection to the universe. And so I stayed, right? I just suffered it out. And but like I said, it wasn't easy. Like it was very, very hard. And yeah, like so much connection with the earth. I just remember the trees, the light, their leaves and all that, and just seeing light. And yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. So is there anything else you wanted me to ask me about? Oh yeah, inner earth. Yeah, the inner earth societies and civilizations that thrived since the Atlantean times. We've had experience, even like our tribes had problems with them, like the reptilians underground. They'd fly up from the underground, from caves with their UFOs, and they'd land on the ground and literally come out and attack our tribes and steal women. And this is where I get I'm talking about the hybridization programs and stuff like that they had going on, right? And so like a lot of the warriors and braves would rise up to fight these guys, and there'd be huge fights with these reptilians and that come out of their UFOs and stuff, right? And they take some of the women, they'd fly back right back into the earth, like they'd literally fly up like a plate and go down, like, you know what I mean, like go right into the ground. Like their technology is that intense. Until like a lot of like the prayers and thunder beings and other stuff started watching and helping us out to protect us from them. Then we started figuring out ways to defeat them with different weapons and kind of things. And yeah, it's like it was like a cycle. Like I said, we're always battling those guys, but we were friends with other ones. Like there were other reptilians that were natural to here, like that were natural to earth, like the Kinepek Napuyo, snake men, like those guys. Like some people would some people could often they change into their I should say their spiritual connection, like their animal connection, their guardians. Like some people would be able to change into bears or wolves, or people would be able to change into snakes and stuff. And like some people would actually have a strong connection to those beings, right? And just become one with them. You know what I mean? Like they do ceremonies to become them. And so like, there's a few of them. Like the snake people were good. There were the water dog lizard people too. Like those guys, the Kolokan, the people, like the dragon lizard men, like they were dragon men, and they swim in the water, the rivers and stuff. And like they were okay too. They were small little guys, but they were all right. They were always intrigued about trade and stuff. And What else? Yeah, there. It was like in that time too. Uh, a lot of dinosaurs and things still existed too in that time, like the giant alligators and different beings like that. Like even the giant lizards out here. I'm pretty sure they still exist. I'm not saying they don't, because there's still stories of people being like so terrified of what they see in the woods, or they're not sure what they seen. And it looks like some sort of lizard, snake, or serpent, they'll say. And we always had one. We called it. Well, I was referred to a panther, pink panther, but it was like because it walked on all fours, and it was a big, almost like a Komodo dragon, but it had like fins, pink fins on the back of its head, all the way down to its tail, and yeah, and it was real big. When it's big, kids were like, or sorry, when it had babies, they were just like snakes, serpents. They slithered on the ground, no legs, and they grew legs eventually. These big beings were huge. Like they were like half the size of a tree. They literally walk on land, swim in lakes. They burrow tunnels and caves. They literally ripped apart buffaloes and ate them. There's depictions of these on rock keepings and everything. So, from up here in North America, that thing down to the Stegosaurus drawn in the Nazca lines, and they're roughly dated 10,000 to 12,000 years ago each. In both those depictions, and they're on opposite ends of Turtle Island. So it's kind of like, one's on the head, one's on the top back, and one's on the tail. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? So it's it is there, like these dragons and stuff are actually a lot alive, and a lot more, sorry, existed a lot more sooner to us than a lot of us expect them. Like we think like 145 million years ago. It might have actually only been like 13,000 years ago, or maybe 14,000 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting because even like I think it's Aztec temples, or it could be something else, but carvings, and they only carved like what they saw, and there was a stegosaurus on there as well. It's like, and
Yeah.
then there's also been pterodactyl that have been sighted. That somebody finally got one on video, because we're all carrying a video around if we can get it to work when we're kind of in that panic to do it. But it's pretty intense. These things expired a long time ago, but I don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Like if there's still like ties to a lot of the places in Earth, like if there's still a cave open, I'm not surprised if one flies out, from there, down there. Yeah, with the more temple carvings, like the Mayans had a lot of alligator people, and the Inc had a lot of like the star people and different kind of looking fish guys, and different things. And then you go over to right across there, and you have Egypt with all the alligator people, the dog people, the cat people, and all the you show, and it even shows the depiction of them coming and arriving on ships to Atlantis and stuff in their little orb ships, and it depicts them in the sky too, the way it's beautifully painted in the Egyptian temples. But you go even down to the East Hindu temples, Indonesian temples, no, Hindu temples, yeah, and the India people, they have like a lot of depictions of their like ancient Star Wars battles, and they actually have like Komodo dragon, like reptilian guys like in armor, and they're like fighting dudes, like, and they're like the size of humans. They're up on 2 feet, and they're like one's like grabbing one and biting the head off one of the human warriors and kicking the other one with his like little his huge Komodo dragon feet. Like like they were warriors, like manhandling two human warriors. You know what I mean? Like they were strong guys in that sense, and are strong beings, I should say, warrior fighters. And so like there's always all these depictions of all these reptilian guys, and then right down to the temples out in like the Buddha. Remember those Buddha guys we always bring up there? Those the Hiroshi dragon warrior guys. Those the monk warriors, the dragon warriors. Yeah, those guys. Anyway, those dudes, they had the 7 healing light temple or something like that. They taught the Buddhas about the healing lights or something like that. And what I'm getting at is just like all these different depictions of reptilians, and all these different beings, humanoid beings, are all depicted right across the earth, and they're all roughly like along the same line of trajectory of temple building, like the ley line structure, I should say. which is very interesting too. But yeah.
Moon in the chat said, ouch, Komodo dragons walking on their hind legs would be vicious.
They do. They fight like that. It's funny because like when they're fighting each other, it looks like they're like trying to grapple and hug each other, but they're like fighting. They're really trying to throw each other down, and it's like it's a very vicious match. But yeah, no, it's like they do fight like that. They do fight. They fight on their hind legs, and they stand. They use their tail as like a standing like a kickstand.
Lean back and chilling on your tail.
yeah, exactly what they use it for. But yeah, so that's there's a lot of that going on out there. So like I said, the temples, the ancient times, the people, it's all connected to them. We have the Snake Mound in Ohio. Like that's very much connected. We always believed in the ancient cobra of wisdom. Well, that's not ancient cobra, but I should say the ancient snake of wisdom. It was a snake that was able to tunnel through dimensions, through the galaxy, and actually it would come as a spirit to people and bring like visions and like different kind of like wisdoms and different codices from the universe, right? Whether it was spiritual or if it was meant for this life or the next life, or it is very different, right? The snake is very mysterious and had a very mysterious like intelligence to it. So it was considered to be that, right? A very dimensional being. And then it's kind of interesting to hear that the like talking about India again, that they had a similar kind of belief with like the Shiva and the cobra of wisdom. There's a cobra of wisdom, golden cobra, and it's same thing. It has like the ability to travel through dimensions and whatnot. And I'm like, whoa, that's wild that we kind of have that same little that little snake being creature that's tunneling through dimensions, and like it's so it's making its way around. It's making its way around.
It uses wormholes.
Yeah, the snake holes. Yeah, it's very
sightings. What do you think about that? Do you think that's from inner Earth, or do you think that's from space? Like, what the heck is going on? It just seems like there's more and more, like, all the time, and it's like they don't even care to really hide themselves anymore.
Depends. Like a lot of there's a lot of energies that come from the inner Earth. A lot of times, a lot of dark beings, a lot of different type of like energetic levels, like lower frequencies. They'll try to open their portals down there and try to like seep it in through. And we've shut down a few of those things, like dimensions. Like they'll try to open up like dark squid dimensions and stuff like that to try to seep those guys through. Or they've like we've seen a few of them, different kind of things that they've tried to bring out. And other than that, like but like I said, we've been seeing a lot of changes, like in terms of bases structures down there, like in terms of Galactic Federation like taking hold of places and actually creating like different structures, or actually asking us to help with crystal structures, and to really look over the spiritual grid, because that's all they want is the Galactic Federation is like they want us to be able to take handle of our own planet's energy grid, because they already have their own, like they're dealing with their own, but they want us to like advance that level so we can take that over and not have to worry about like a lot of this matrix hole that's been still like that people are still plugged into. It's just kind of like once that's gone and unhold, then we should everything should roll pretty smoothly. It's just still people are having a lot of like they're still holding on to a lot of that reptilian based mind control, and that's that's on them. It's everybody's healing journey to find their own inner light and wake up, or you know what I mean. Like that's on them. I'm just here to help guide the awakened few and help spread a little bit of clarity out there. Yeah, the inner Earth. There's tons of beings, all sorts of type of structures, both from the past and present, other dimensional realities, imprinted things, and there's so much different things to connect to in different ways. Like but most of the time it is like we are clearing it up for the energy grid of the Earth, and like so like the whole of the Earth is is functioning at a high resonance, right? High frequency resonance. Because that's just what they've been trying to do, is like hold us back and stop that. So, but we've been doing a really good job, I should say, in terms of
Did you
that.
hear about the Schumann resonance, which is, the energy from the earth, and how it's been like really chaotic, and now all of a sudden it's like won't, like it's got this steady, it's not all
Yeah.
chaotic anymore.
Yeah, it's a shamanic resonance. Yeah, it's very it's like all the planets are finally finding that balance again, and it's all about the sun, right? The sun's frequency too hasn't been this high since the times I was talking about. The early Iridonis days, like when frequency was at a very high light. So a lot of these things, like a lot of our intellectual parts, like a part of our frequency waves, a part of our life, the part of our reality that we we don't really feed too much into, like our inner sight, the remote viewing, the parapsychology, all that, right? Like it's that's all going to take a big turn, because like it's with that high frequency, it's going to leave us no choice. Like we're all going to be getting our upgrades, our DNA is going to be getting upgraded. For those of us that have already been like, waking up and getting a lot of these like messages and visions, and already feeling the frequencies like that, it's only going to be more amplified. You get what I mean? So like people that are just kind of waking up now are just going to be kind of getting like just a little taste of what it could have been. You know what I mean? Because like the ones that are already waking up and choosing a lot of these to do these things and see these things, and to not ignore their true reality, we're just going to be getting more in tune with the universe, and more we're going to be getting more connections. Like you do realize you have to be psychic to fly a lot of these craft, right? Like, what I mean? Like it's like yeah, it's very connected. Like the suits, the reason why I always draw them wearing their suits like that is because those suits, they connect like to them, into the craft themselves, and like into the part the part they hold, and it's like all psychic kinetically, right? Like psychic kinetic energy. So it's literally it's a matter of people using that, finding that love in their light, and finding that frequency to open up those pathways neurologically and spiritually, and holding that divine frequency, right? And I don't know. Is there anything else you want me to go on there?
We'll just go ahead and go to our first music break, and then we'll come back and talk about some more stuff.
Excellent. I'm going to make a coffee. Thank you.
No worries. So we have about a little less than 15 minutes on this one. So we have King Cinnamon from Biafra, Nigeria, with Fantastic, as well as Al Imo Elderella. And then we have Hosni Bronx, who is originally from Jamaica, but he also lives in the Bronx in New York. So he kind of goes back and forth, and he's going to be singing Free Child. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
We swap on like my water bam bam. King Cinnamon. Oh yeah, baddest. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's roll, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Gucci brother, baby, gather something. Come on closer, baby, gather 19. I know you better, but I am the king. Your backside bigger than Bombay. Baby girl, brokotom. I like the way you whine your brokotom. Baby girl, brokotom. I like the way you whine your brokotom. Jamaica, Ghana, shout out to the ladies in Asia, Nigeria, South Africa. Say we love you. Please me, baby. Yeah. Turn up from you. Yeah. Take your bam bam anywhere you day. Play your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Shake your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it's a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will say. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Give me love, give me love. Show me love, show me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. We want you, we love you. Give me love, give me love. Oh, give me love, give me love. Hey, please me, baby. Oh. Yeah, turn up from you. Yeah. Get your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Shake your bam bam anywhere you day. Throw your bam bam, it is a Friday. Come on, let's go, it is a holiday. Anything you want, baby, I will pay. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. Fantastic. Baby girl, you romantic. King, sit down, man. You know what I'm saying?
We spot on the mix. Lift it all.
We celebrate the love coming from God.
from Jah. Dance around this place, Rasta. Dance, it's our chance to unite and chant the word. People in love, people in love, people in love, people in love. Yeah, humanity want to protect humanity. We have to save people from poverty. We don't want your frustration. We don't want your ambush Babylon.
Kanyi kele Chineke makwa n'ala Imo bụ ndị njem ọnụ. Kanyi kele onye nwụwa ịmakwa n'ala Imo bụ ndị njem ọnụ. Imo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Kerelo, Ndime Meriela, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Alimo State, Alime Kerelo, Alimo, Alime Kerelo, Democracy Meriela, Ndime Meriela, Alaka Marama, Ebere Marama, Obana Marama, Excellency Marama, Her Excellency, Emeka your hammer, Emeka hit your hammer, Omenka Uranya hit your hammer, Omenka Uranya Emeka, Neki Modimao, Emeka, Neki Modimao, Emeka put on no boy, oh yeah. Wa Willier, Emeka put on no boy, what come at him? Me when possible, Emeka, Neki Modimao, Emeka, Neki Modimao, Ndem Jajembo, Mwan Jajembo, Ndem Jemano, Deputy Governor State Chilike, Gerard Ronna Karaka. Komadima, Porabo, Deputy Governor, Deregima, Alukuta, Deregima, Alimo State, Deregima, Ala Nigeria, Maragima, Onya Jemo, standing one with Chekaraka, Stanley, Onya Babamba, President Good Life Foundation, Shirike, President General, Senate Group of Companies, President General, Financial Master Karaka, Allo were Deregima, Alam Bisen Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Onya Jemo, Franklin Shiriko, Pepe Arabido Hotels, ABC Transport Karaka, Allo were Deregima, Alam Bisen Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Uchonya Gochanden, Uchonya Gochanden, Honorable Wokomadima, Onye Horo Nyakele Yao, Mawugiye, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Chichigari Chinala, Imo State, Mawugiye, Ginando Tugio, Mawunule, Mirigari Zonala, Imo State, Allo were Deregima, Allo were Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, the German, Orange Drugs Limited, Jisa Anthony Ifani Chukun to business and Ishirike, Ikenga Dijele, pride of his people. Most standing one, Okoma Marama, Iborabo, Allo were Deregima, Alija to Deregima, Alimo State Deregima, Ala Nigeria Maragima, Honorable Jobagu Shirike, Honorable Bina Shirike, General Wasa Shirike, Kotuko Shirike, Otahu Shirike, Injina Benina Shirike. Onye mana construction rock woko madema ikaraka. Onye chiwore hebora ni ejebu imara mao. Woko mande jemba woko madema ikaraka. Quiz popule ipo felamo. Onye mana bito akana kompa ikaraka. Eziwa mama. Is that you really want? Welcome to Jemba, CEO Mr. Ventures. Karaka, democracy, very low. Ndime, very low. Democracy, very low. Ndime, very low. Alime, very low. Alime, very low. Thank God I'm from Imo State. Emeka has come to rejuvenate. Imo State, make you jubilate, make you celebrate. Emeka Chipen say, this one no be said them say. Emeka has come to rejuvenate. Imo State, celebrate, make you jubilate. Allah mekele His Excellency, Achikudenwa. Mekele kwa His Excellency, Dr. Hakim. Yemaka Right Honorable PDK. Mekele kwa Right Honorable Jones Oyereri. Allah mekele Senator Onyebuchi Mr. Empowerment. Mekele kwa Right Honorable Emeka Chinedu. Umo mimo lowali bamezena alimo. Alima adilama.
Cliffito.
I think you're muted, Tessa. Yeah, you're muted. I can't hear you.
I am.
Hi, there we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, Moon was saying I can't even remember drinking a cold beer on a hot day. I don't know that little mix we had on the break makes me want to be on a beach drinking a blue Hawaiian.
Oh yeah, that little it's very Caribbean mixer. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Is there anything you wanted me to continue on, or do you want me, or anything you want to ask me about I mentioned earlier, or shall I continue on?
Yeah. Well, I was just I've been intrigued as far as like what's going on with our planet today and how everything's melting away, and the Amazon forest is being, cut down. And there's so many different things being found. Like they found this city in the rainforest that was like, they're comparing it to the size of London, which is pretty intense. But I think a lot of things are going to be uncovered. A lot of things are going to be found, both good and bad. But it's pretty intriguing time to be alive right now, for sure.
Yeah. Even a lot of the Inca Mayan depictions there have a lot of the water god. They're the same guy, same depiction as Atlantis with the world on his back, but the Mayans have the depiction of the guy holding the sea on his back, and that was supposed to be a representation of Atlantis. But hopefully we'll get more of those records out of that, finding those ancient temples and get some more of those, because like a lot of times when the Spanish Inquisition went through the Canary Islands, they met a lot of the Atlantean descendants on the Canary Islands. And they killed them. Like they took them as pagans and just murdered them horribly. Let their dogs eat them alive and stuff. You know what I mean? Like real, wild things they did, man. And that kind of behavior continued right on until they, right up the America Islands. You know what I mean? Like South America when they landed and stuff, right? And it's like what I'm getting at is a lot of these places are ancient remnants of Lemuria. Even I'm pretty sure out there in your area, Tessa, there's a few ancient Lemurian temples and sites out there that are from those ancient times. But it's just like they look like the Red Rock Canyon temples or something they're called, or I'd have to look it up here again. There's let me just, yeah, anyway, so yeah, there's like a few areas, like all those areas, like definitely are going to be discovered to have more connections to Lemuria, to Atlantis. Yeah.
You were talking about Egyptians earlier. I don't know if you know this or not, but a portion of the Grand Canyon has been blocked off, and it's due to the fact that, well, in 1906, this guy originally found this underground city, and at first they were thinking it was like Tibetan or something, like there was a lotus flower and all this other stuff, but now there's archaeologists and stuff there checking it out, and come to find out it's actually Egyptian. And there's a room that's full of sarcophagi, like all the way up to the ceiling. It's insane. Instead of laying flat, they're standing, layer by layer by layer, going up, and they have their own little cubbies. But it's pretty intense.
Yeah, there's a lot of like I was saying, a lot of Egyptian, a lot of Atlanteans, they had to spread out, right? Like they had to lead the destruction of Atlantis, right? And they didn't know how far destruction was going to go, so they just had to spread out across the four directions of the earth and like bring that information, right? So a lot of them came out here, and some of them went out, out west, and others went out east and stuff, north, and some went south, and the ones that came up here also brought with them too subgiants and stuff too. A lot of different beings also came from out of the Lemuria too, right? Because the cataclysms kind of happened roughly around the same time, like just a little one after another kind of deal. So a lot of different beings and races and stuff came to the continent of Americas, right? Like, and along with the already people here, right? The Pleiadians and Lemurians and stuff, and Lyrians and all that, right? And so what I'm getting at is that's where you get a lot of the subgiants and giants and all those tales in our culture. When you hear about the Hopis coming here, and then the giants were here, and then the craft had to help them blast the giant that was trying to attack them and stuff, and protect them from being attacked, and so they can make their voyage here from Lemuria when it fell. When you talk about the Hopi, right? I'm still sorry. I'm having a hard time trying to recall this. I think it's Boyton Canyon or something. I'm thinking, no, it's not Brayton. It's probably Boyton Canyon. I think, yeah, vortexes. Yeah, there's some vortexes, some like ancient Lemurian temples out in that area of yeah, I think it's your area, Tessa. But anyway.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I don't know if that's here or if that's like down in Arizona. I know there's
maybe it's Arizona. Maybe it's Arizona.
Could be. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. Boynton Canyon.
Vortexes.
Yeah. Yeah. In Sedona, there's vortices down there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Never mind. But yeah, so that area.
Not too far away.
Yeah. That's not too far away, but still, yeah. So it is kind of your area. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, that area.
Yeah, that's in Sedona. Yeah. Awesome.
And there's like those are ancient Lemurian temples. Yeah, those are Lemurian temples out there. And there's like all this sort of energy, wild ley line energy there, and healing energy and stuff. So yeah, it'd be something to look into. But
it's crazy too. Like these vortices, like trees that grow near them are all like twisted and odd looking. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's definitely that energy. It just it creates these wild formations and nature and whatnot. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted me to elaborate on or go on to, or should I just continue on?
Well, I was just wondering, your cover picture you got going on there. Did you do that?
This one, I think I found this one on where was it? I think it was some UFO page or something like that. I'd found it on, but yeah, no, I just found this one. I decided just to put it up. It was a nice little gray alien or blue alien, gray alien guy. Anyway, a little Eben, a little extraterrestrial body that's but EBE or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there was tons of whole bunch of UFO videos they share. I don't know if you've seen a bunch of those lately. Just wild stuff, eh? Incredible. Every time I think I've seen it all, always. Yeah, every time I think I've seen it all, and then just another, just pure, this exciting craft or something. You know what I mean? Something new, something is always, different color, or it's like flying in some odd way. Like they're literally showing themselves more now, and it's kind of, it's one of those things. Like I just wanted to let people know, if you're getting dreams or anything like that, don't freak out or anything. Don't think right away to the narrative of abduction or anything like that. Like no, usually these a lot of times people, like there was a few guys they told me that they were literally, like they thought they were being abducted and stuff, but here they were getting worked on and stuff, and they didn't realize it. But they energetically and stuff like that, they had attachments and things, and they were getting repaired, and they didn't realize it. And then a few others like have people have connections to some of these star origins, some of their spirit energies, like their ancient ancestry. It's all there, right? And to make those connections again, and raise the vibration of the being or person again, and make those honest connections within dreams too, like figuring out the messages and figuring out the meanings of them. And because like for me, in our neo dreams are major messages, right? So it's like figuring out the meaning behind every one of them, right? So paying attention to those the best you can.
I don't know about you, but for the last 3 weeks, I've been having these really crazy, vivid dreams. And at first, I thought it was the antibiotics that I was on for my ear infection that just wouldn't go away. And I was like, maybe it's the antibiotics. But I've been off those for well over a week, and I'm still having them. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Generally, don't remember my dreams. I'll just sleep and maybe remember a portion or whatever of it. But it's been pretty intense and pretty vivid. I don't know. It just feels like another realm, which I know a lot of that is, like, especially when it's like the dead coming through to give you messages. But I don't know. It just seems like still living my life, or, going through certain events. It's just that real, that intense.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a purpose, right? To and to be that light, and being part of the whole evolvement of the world, right? A lot of the sharing of information that you do here, and like a lot of messages. Like you yourself are empath and a card reader too, right? So seeing that, right? And as higher frequency people, like we're all going to get these connections again. Like a lot of, like, that's the way it works, is like the loved ones, the people on the other side, like the spiritual, like the way the connections work is through love, right? So the ones that are going to come speak to you are the ones that love you, and the ones that that have that connection from the other side is that love. Like that's how it works, right? So being open to that, and seeing that again, and understanding that love is still there, and that's what everything is. Like all of us, everything in the world, like all of everything we do, right, is what we love to do. And and it's up for us to make those choices, to find things that we love and do what we love, right, and share that light, right? So what was I going to say here about something about dreams and stuff here? I had a real intense one. About like the ETs and stuff. Like they will it will feel like it does feel a little different, like than a dream. It does feel like more like lucid dreams and stuff. Like it does and you do kind of have these like where you can, like, you are walking around on the ships and stuff. Like it is kind of like you are seeing the cities, or you're seeing these real awesome places, right? And like in those frequency, in those times, like it's just like like what I'm doing with astral travel and whatnot. It's like all the information of the world is all happening, like everything, like it's all going on, and our brains are just like receiving all this information, and we're connecting to it, and like I said, our light, our love is our sight, our inner sight, and we're seeing these things and making those connections, right, to whatever it is that we're meant to. You know, the universe really is looking out for all of us, and in mysterious ways, and it really is there. You know, like you said, we're all here living and going through these experiences, and it's just we're meant to. These experiences are meant for us, and to grow and experience and expand on with our thoughts and like inner sight, and deal with, I guess, and you know, and we do every day. This is part of life, right? And the going of the wheel, and keeping the balance and of that wheel is all a process of it too, right? The mind, body, soul, and spirit, right? And all of it, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, right? Like all the realities, right? Like the four directions, and keeping all that balance within ourselves, our center. And by doing that, and living out our, you know, keeping balance and living out our connections to the universe and whatnot, it makes us closer. Like, and that's a part of it, right? That's the whole purpose of it, is making our connection closer, and to universe, and allowing that light to shine through, and then we all create a galactic unity in that sense, consciousness, right? And it's really a part of that again, because then we get to meet all of our ancestors and space brothers and sisters, and all the other beings of the universe that, you know, are waiting to meet us again.
Crazy times we're living in, but like you said, like we're meant to be here at this particular time, and there's a lot of stuff we're going to experience. A lot of it good, a lot of it bad. But I mean, we're here for a reason.
Oh yeah, everything, all of it. It's all duality of you know, of light and darkness. You know, people have free will. You know, the people that are doing darkness, like creator, creation, universe, the light of the world, the universe is always praying for all of us, even if they do bad, because the light is always wanting them to see the wrongs in their ways, so that they can make their way back to the light. Like it's always like, you know, like it's always you know, the light is always looking out for everyone. And so like, as us beings of the light, we share that honest truth, and share our truth, and love, and bring that honest connection to the world, right? And we innovate and inspire each other, and to do good, right? And to hold that honor, because there's more to that, you know, more to honor than what we just think of it, right? And you know, and it's all like you know, holding those 7 teachings. You know, they always say the 7 lights. For us, it was the 7 teachings, and within us, and to live that life, right? Honest truth and love, and yeah, and you know, it's like we when you hold those teachings in your heart, and you're moving in your world, and you know, these things are going to flow naturally. You know, I mean, like it's meant to. You know, the extraterrestrials and all these beings have always, like I said, they've been around. You know, we just have a very convoluted idea of time, and just the way we've been manipulated by the matrix in general, and how it's been like you know, a real I guess I should say, like I don't know, it's like a stint in the human consciousness, almost, like, you know what I mean, like, or not a stint, what do you call this, a blockage, or some sort of like yeah, anyway, something. It's just trying to stop it, right? So let's make the pathway, right? And be the light, right? And bring that energy through, so people can find that information and find that truth in themselves. And and like I said, the world is changing, honestly, and I just wanted to let people know, like that when they're remembering the Lemurian and Atlantean times, to really follow what your heart is telling you is truth, because there's a lot of like things that try to like convolute it, right? Like try to get in and mess around. So like when you if you're remembering it, really remember with your heart, and remember what's true to it, right? So because like a lot of it is past DNA or past like lifetime like memories, right? We're carrying with us, and a lot of us will remember these things. And a lot of people like that were saying they're priests and stuff like of Atlantean time were probably reptilians and reptilian past beings, you know what I mean, like in their life, you know what I mean. And I'm not even joking, that's just what it is. Like that's who were the priests of Atlantis, were reptilians. And what else was I going to say? So it's like you just got to really follow your heart, and if you're gonna find that truth of Atlantis, right? If you're gonna think about it, and the truth of the world too. Like I said, the extraterrestrials, they have played a big part in our galactic history, and that's just we're gonna find out more of that, as time goes on. And I'm so happy that we're getting that information now. And like there's like whole other civilizations like out there in the universe, like advanced civilizations, like buildings and advanced, like if not more advanced than ours. Like they've been around for a couple billion years, or a couple, like a lot, like a million years at least, a lot longer than us anyway. At least like a lot of the spacecrafts and things that we see out here, like the spherical crafts, the cube craft, the arrow craft, the boomerang crafts, star, like all those star crafts and stuff like that. They're all like they all come from these places, right? And these cities are very magnificent, and I'm just like excited because like that future is not too far away. So I'm just letting everybody know that. And like these beings existed on our Earth and are amongst us for quite some time. A lot of them are already here, like a lot of the tall white Nordics, they would just wear makeup and change their hair dye and throw a little contact lens in, and they walk around us, you know what I mean. Some of these beings they do the whole bodysuit thing, you know what I mean. Like I'm saying, it's out there. It's these a lot of the beings are already out there amongst us, and a lot of us are descendants of them from already here on Earth, and we just don't even realize it, just because it's like been so long ago. Yeah, a lot of crafts have landed here on Earth, like motherships too, like over the time, and they just mixed with a lot of the tribe people of the Norths, like and they just made life, just started out life living with them, right? And some of the beings made civilizations like in Earth and stuff, and amongst other beings, took their side and went down there, and in the beautiful inner Earth, right?
Maybe we'll see it someday. I don't know, it's pretty intense, and like you were saying, like giants, like there's so much evidence of it, as far as like the giants that we know of today. Like there were even bigger ones back in the day, like that left their footprints and stuff in different areas. I don't know if you saw the video. I think it was in Cabo San Lucas in the mountains there. There was a giant kind of peeking out of his little cave thing there. So I think they're still around. The ones in America, I'm not sure about that, but I know near Death Valley, somebody was hiking around in there and fell through the ground into like a tomb where there were giant remnants and like golden treasure and all kinds of different stuff going on. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, there were some giants were advanced. Be surprised. Like some of them did have pyramids and stuff to the north from over here, like in our ancient tales. And a lot of those guys took the ancient beings from Atlantean times, like a lot of the cat beings and a lot of the dog beings that were still like remnants of that time. And they actually left with them to a moon to live, right? And they left behind their pyramid. They just took off, right, to live a new existence on this habitable moon. I don't know if it's one of Jupiter's 89 or 8995 moons, or if it's one of Saturn's 105. But it was one of the moons, definitely a habitable moon out there. what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So, but there were other giants. Like there were other ones that were just like as natives too. Like, and there was one that was not too far. They were just up the lake, not too far from us, and they were actually very friendly with us. And they actually went like they actually helped us with fights and wars, and they actually fought alongside us. But they were Musqua Mitsuina, which is bear eaters. So they were literally big enough, and that's all they ate was bears. And they literally
Oh,
like
wow.
their clothing was made of bear hides. Like they were like they were fierce warriors. And those guys, they came along with us to help the North, like the Eskimos fight off a lot of the Vikings up there during the ancient times and early days, and to stop that North Passage or whatever, right? They were trying to find. And we ended up stopping a lot of the Vikings up there in the north, and like I said, the Vikings always said the Eskimos were real fierce little guys, but they had the backup of ice giants. Like they have ice giants on their side. The Scrags have ice giants. Like they're holding off their hills and all that, right? Like they come running down through the forests. Like they have like these written down documents, like and yeah, what I'm getting at is like there's all that connection, right, to those giants. And then there was the red giants, which were just massive dudes. And I think those are the ones you're kind of referring to. And these guys are like just man eaters. Like they'd run around and they just eat people, and like they're vicious. Like they were like just like thrashing, kind of bashing, kind of like evil, I guess I should say giant beings, right? Like they weren't too friendly or anything. But then you got down south, right? Like all the way down south, they talk about how some of the giants were helping them out, building some of the pyramids and stuff, like in the Peruvian jungles of, what is it called? Machu Picchu. There they have those giant steps and stuff like that they had. And like, so like all these, like, they've been around. Like they've been around. Yeah. So like, other than that, like I said, they've been in our legends as well. Like, the giants are, like I said, probably like I said, the product of Atlantean times, or if not prior to Atlantean times, because there might have just been some giant humans, right, developing as well, like from the mixing of different kind of progenitor races. They always talk about that in the Book of Enoch, and like how the gods are taking Ish and making their own sons or whatever, taking beyond their own or whatever, making their own sons out of their own image and stuff like that. And that's where you get then that's where you get the first like kind of like cyclopean L guys, right? Like and stuff like that. They used to refer to them as and whatever, right? Like it gets pretty intense. Like what can I say about it? Yeah, but the Book of Enoch is just, it's a wild work of like transcribed people's what their knowledge of the language was, and probably there's a lot of misconceptions in there, but like the story of that though, right? Like the idea, like the way it's said though, right? Like the gods came down and took wives and made sons and begot these cyclopean guys, like giants, subgiant guys, and some of them had 3 eyes, but they were very highly spiritual, and the females were the ones to because they had 3 eyes and stuff like that, they did a lot of makeup, and they were the ones to start the face painting and stuff like that. So like the humans started emulating that, and like that's like what kind of like where people got the idea of makeup and or effects like that on the face, drawing tattoos and whatever. And yeah, there's that's what you read the Book of Enoch and says these things, right? And or at least the translations of them, right? And it's pretty interesting. It's very interesting stuff. When we fought them, we had to fight them in whole tribes, like the red giants. These guys, they look just like natives. Like they had big cheekbone, high cheekbone guys, long, scraggly, messy hair, and just, red skin, red as the sun. Cause like they took a lot of the ochre and they put it on their skin. So like they wouldn't get burnt, right? Sunburned. Like they took that red ochre dye, or sorry, stuff, and they put it all over themselves, right? And the chalk, right? And it was like an early day the paint, right? And it was like early day sunblock. But anyway, so the red giants,
Right.
and yeah, and yeah, so like it there's a lot of, it's a lot of history, right? I kind of went over a lot of different things.
Well, it's pretty interesting because like history does repeat itself, and we have all these UFO sightings, and there's videos of giants, like a lot of them on top of mountains, like where everybody can see them. It's like, do you not realize you're obvious because you're so huge? Like people are going to see you. It's like, with cell phones, everybody's got a camera on them these days, so there's so much evidence being captured instead of this being like fairy tale or lore. Like this stuff is really happening.
Yeah, a lot of those temples, ley lines, right? A lot of those mountains, a lot of those are all ley line too, and a lot of them have portals on them and entrances into inner Earth and stuff, right? And it's always told, like in ancient tales, a lot of these giants would often protect the entrances of these places because they were from down there, and and it made sense to me because like when you go down in the inner Earth, a lot of the gravitation forces are inverted, so a lot of things are more like like being brought to the center of the Earth, and because it's like because everything's on the rim, right? Everything's spinning, so everything, like it's like, yeah. Anyway, so it's like it creates its own gravity force, and then like all the stuff is like able to grow at a more distinct rate. From when from being on the, instead of being on the surface, right? So like you get giant mushrooms, you get giant trees, you get giants, right? Like people, structures, mountains of crystals, kingdoms, and all sorts of different kind of beings that are able to live and function in these parts of the Earth. And some of the parts of the Earth are more gaseous and more filled with like hot, and so like a lot of reptilians that can exist in these areas are the Greys, because they only breathe hydrogen and carbon and helium, and all these kind of different gases that we just don't take as much in, right? So like they live off this stuff, right? So it's like they're living down there and all that, right? And the reptilians, they love the heat, and some areas are colder because they have that opening. Some of the openings are wide, and they get that cold breeze coming through, so some places are actually tropical and livable. That's where a lot of those ancient civilizations come from. A lot of different, like I said, probably some of the UFOs are even coming from over there too, right? Some are interdimensional travelers that connect, through to the wormholes and dimensional travel, and these guys, they come through, and they're just pretty much coming back. It's just easier to travel that way. These it's all part of our galactic center, right? We're on the very edge of the galaxy. We're kind of like I guess I should say we're just kind of like we're existing to find ourselves again. You know what I mean? Existing to find ourselves in the universe again. For the longest time, it was a lot of like guidance and whatnot. But the aliens, they just extraterrestrials, all of them, they all really just wanted us to figure out our own way, our own path until we got there, right? And got to the right moment. And now we're kind of getting there again. For the Atlantean times, because for a lot of years, for the longest time, it was just like dark ages, and like I said, people are just finding kingdoms and slaying monsters, and it took the most savagery of people to the most strongest and bravest of them, to fight these things and destroy them. And that's where you get in our legends like the Great Hunter Manitou, and a lot of these people that even became snakes or the beasts themselves to destroy them, or even chase them into dimensions and stuff. And people having to almost use their psychic abilities and medicines to fight these spiritual monsters that existed. And but for times, like thousands and thousands of years, it was just dark ages, and people and finally honor led to people becoming emperors and leading civilizations, and you know what I mean? Like it kind of had to replay itself over again, and take place again because of the loss of the two dragon cities, right? And so it's kind of where we're kind of coming around to again, is like this connection to these ETs and our past, and knowing that truth, and being one with the universe and one with the galactic again, and yeah, it's going to lead to a very interesting future in my opinion. Like I said, I'm ready for that. I
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been in our teachings, like our prophecies, like we are meant to um I guess I should say connect and grow into and with the fourth world. And that's like because we were in the inner earth there for a while, and then had to grow again, come back out into this third age, and now we're in this third world, like living again, and have to regrow again, and now we're going to grow back into the fourth and go back, right, and raise up into the
That's what
fourth.
I'm thinking. Like, as hot as it is, and I don't know if you've seen it, but around the center of the Earth is just red hot, and at the edges, it's a lot cooler. So we might migrate back up there and go back to inner Earth. I don't know. I don't know. Right
Yeah.
now, living underground sounds pretty damn good because it's not going to be this hot.
Yeah. Yeah, all that
Rock-
seismic technology and polar shifting technology was all reptilian stuff, and they were able to do that, and they did that. The vortexes though of the Earth are always natural. You know what I mean? Those are natural portals. Like that's just natural being part of Earth, and those vortexes are part of the energy, the matrix that flows through everything, flows through us. That's that wavelength that where we find that connection to everything, the information of all the universe, and that's through our eyes and our mind and our heart and our sensors and our hands and feet and everything, right? So you know, being aware and fully, you know, fully connected is the whole new level with that, with what I just said there. So I'm just saying, it's yeah. So you know, be open to the light, right? You know, last thing I want to say is, you know, be very careful, like when you're out there connecting to some of the ETs, though, because like make sure you're aligning with the light in your heart and in the universe, because like, you know, the way my buddy put it was like, you know, next thing you know, you're gonna have Godzilla on your front door banging down, you know, yeah. You know, on your spiritual front door banging down. But you know what I'm getting at is just yeah, because like I'm not even joking. Like I laugh when he said that, because I've met giant spirit alligators, like, and I was like, whoa, like, whoa, this is beautiful. And then it started talking to me, and I was like, hey, you can talk. And then I was like, yeah, I can talk. I'm like, you know, it started going off on me. It's like, I lived here a million years ago. This was my home. Like, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like and then,
All right.
it was just walking by, like this is like spirit, right? Like you know, you see spirit entities or something, right? And yeah, he just explained to me about the ancient times and stuff, and you know, like, and it was very cool. Like I was like, yeah, and it was a big 40-foot tall, like giant alligator, and it was like, yeah, this place used to be a giant swamp, and you know, and all this stuff, right? Kind of telling me all about the different levels of the earth and stuff like that, and the continents, and how there's more land and stuff, and back then, and before a lot of it got sunk, and yeah, it was very cool, very interesting stuff, and then yeah, but yeah, so like, you know, and they say, it's kind of funny, and they say like you know, like back then you talk to animals and stuff, and like I didn't expect that until I realized that after it. I was like, oh wow, yeah, they do. Like, you know, like you connect in that spiritual level, and then sometimes they'll have some things to say, or they'll show you something cool or whatever, right? But you know, like I said, always aligning with that light though in your heart, and then you know, it's really getting the, you know, like knowing the difference, right? Like between it, because like I said, it's just I'm really caught off guard by most of it. So I'm like you know, and some of like when like something like that has something to say, I'm just kind of like, oh whoa, hey, you could talk. Or the one time when I was like outside of like Saturn, and I was just like chilling out, and or sorry, not outside of Saturn, outside of Jupiter, but I thought it was Mars. I didn't know the difference. I was like, oh, look at, I'm outside Mars, and then all of a sudden I started like gravitating to more inside of the storm, and then I realized I was getting towards the base there, and then all of a sudden this old being guy showed up, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? How did you get here? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like, I guess I'm here too. I mean, he was like he talked real fast, and he's like, well, I guess, you know, like third dimensional shit, like, you know, they wouldn't be able to get through here. Frequencies, they would never get here. I guess you're meant to be here. Do you want to come inside? Do you want to check it out? And I'm like, sure. All right, let's check it out. But I was like, but wait, hold on. I don't know. I'll come back. I'll have to do it another time, I said to him. Right. And then, but it was just cool. Like I said, I didn't know that he would be able to talk to me. He was like a little, like he looked like a snail. Like he literally had like the head of a snail, like eyes, but he was green. He had a red robe. He was a small little dude, but he was real intelligent, like super intelligent. Very like he found me. Like I didn't think anybody saw me there in Saturn. All right, we're on Jupiter, right, in the storm. And then but later I did go inside that base though, and he was my guide. He led me around there. He showed me all these like little cool crafts. They even had like parts of the base was like built for like amphibian, like water people creatures, and like they had like ships that like pick them up and transport them around, and like almost like floating fish tanks, like stuff like that. And they'd go hang out in the clubs, and like there was like all these like it was like giant places, like just structures, and like it was literally on Saturn or on Jupiter, and it was like a big spaceport. There were like people dressed in like they had like military uniforms, but they were like light blue color, and they like had like they look like military personnel. Like there's others that had just gray suits, and they were like the kind of like maintenance crew of the whole I guess I should say space station. And but that guy, he wanted to show me the Arcturian libraries, and it was real cool when I walked in there was like 2 floors. It was like these light blue like data cases, and there was like this energy, like it was like blue data code energy that flew from the bottom of the floor to the rooftop. And it was just like, I was like, what is that like stream? And then he's like, that's like the information from the data like in the universe when we collect these and scan things with our data like information are like it is gathering, like it was like a pad, right, they used. And when they gathered information with it, it was like you know, just like how your cell phone does every day. It added to that information, you know what I mean, to the universe. And I was like, oh, so it picks up all of whatever you guys scan. They're like, yeah, and you pretty much find anything, like any information here in this part of the universe, and well, what the Arcturians have anyway, right? And if you find more, you can always scan it. And all that. I was like, all right, well, what am I here for, right? Like, you know what I mean? And then he brought me down, and he sat down, and he brought this like silver. It was like a crystal book, but it was like at first it was like I don't know. It was just sitting there. It looked like a flat. Some of them were flat silver, like crystal, like books, but this one was crystal, and it just lit up, and I was able to see like these like little rings of like the code, like light codes that go over me, like just into me, like into my my I guess I should say data frequency, my code frequency, and yeah, and then. Yeah, and that's really what it like when I started getting more more, like I should say, more connections to like a lot of Pleiadian people, a lot of different kind of like Ermither, like a healing ship, and I was able to go on there and do all that kind of stuff and whatever, right? But yeah, these things are, you know, like I said, the information's all there in the universe, and it's like for people like to, you know, make that connection, and you know, always align with the light, right? You know, it's very important. Yeah, and like all these things are out there. Like it's very, very incredible. A lot of the crafts and stuff that I see, like I said, I'm always blown away every time. Like when I think I've seen it all, there's always something more extravagant, more intense, more just, you know, mind just wow, you know, just wowing, you know, you're just like, ooh, I could look at that, you know. Yeah, and yeah, what is there anything else you want to?
Oh, I was just thinking about, you know, you were talking about that red UFO that was going into the houses that were left behind or abandoned or whatnot, and the closest UFO I've seen so far was a red one. It looked like it had liquid fire flowing through this clear orb. And then other ones that I've seen look like little individual crafts, and you know, they're all in formation, they're all doing the same thing. And then I've seen a mothership twice. Mia saw the last one I saw, we saw together, so that was pretty awesome to just have someone there with you to witness it as well. Then, you know, you're not losing your mind or whatever, but it's pretty amazing. My kids told me about they thought it was a dream, and that was while I was doing overnight security, and so I'd call and say goodnight to the kids and stuff, and Lily starts telling me about this dream she had, and then as soon as she said, like, it was right back here in our backyard, and these aliens took them by the hand and were taking them onto the ship, and the ship started to raise up, and the door started to close, and Floyd jumped out, and so she jumped out after him, and she said, and then Floyd tripped, and he's like, "He didn't trip, you tripped." And that's when I realized, like, it wasn't a dream. Like, they had this shared experience where they were trying to take them for who knows what. But I don't know, it's pretty interesting what you could see from your backyard. A lot of people don't realize it because, they're on their, tablets or phones or computers or watching TV or whatnot. I'm ready to get back out there with my camera. I finally found my camera and the long lens. Come to find out the lens doesn't work because it's for a film camera, not a digital. So I got to get a new lens. But I'm ready to get back out there and capture some more UFOs on camera.
Yes, and pay the Lumerian temples a visit out there at the vortexes.
Yeah, I definitely want to go. And Johnny was saying when she comes to America, like, that's one of the places on her hit list there is to go to Sedona. So that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go. I've always wanted to go there, but I always just drive by it because I'm going to Phoenix to visit family. But definitely want to hit that up someday.
Wild. Yeah. No, I still got to go to. I want to go to the Illinois Little Egypt. There, they have some pyramids out there. I want to go check those out. Yeah, the natives built those ones. Yeah, go look. Type that in, Illinois Little Egypt, and it showed there's some pyramids out there. But there's all these sort of cool little areas that just kind of go unknown. I always like to say that what it was like over 2,800 Native American cities and spiritual sites were like, I guess, ransacked to the ground, between the years 1600 and 1800, I guess I should say, or something like that. But yeah, like over the years, right, they would find them and just destroy them when they could, or when they would push back the natives out of the area. You know what I mean? They probably found a bunch of stuff in the the original Black Hills there, Washington. That was the original Black Hills, is the where all the presidents are, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the original. That was the original Holy Hills. Yeah.
Some ugly faces in it. They're like, man, you just messed up our Holy Land here.
But they got a cool one. They got a cool one now building, right? They got that cool Crazy Horse monument being built, so that's cool too.
Heck yeah. It's pretty funny how people think like they're saving something or preserving something. Like behind the Sleeping Ute Mountain, which looks like a giant, it could be a giant just sleeping and waiting to wake up and destroy us one day. But this lady found some ruins, and instead of letting it be, she moved it to another area. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, you just messed it up. But it's amazing everything you can find out there.
Yeah, I always believe that's what caused the Skinwalker Ranch, was somebody messed with some native protections there that were like blocking the dimensions from coming through, and then they destroyed them, and and then people forgot over time, and then somebody built a ranch on there, and stuff started happening, and now look at you now, right? Like, kind of deal.
We're going to be talking a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch next week with Stephen B. Bainey. We're going to be talking about different stuff than his book, so it's going to be pretty awesome. That's another place I want to check out, is Skinwalker Ranch, because not only are there skinwalkers and ghosts and stuff, but also UFOs and other dimensional stuff. It's pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to go to our next music break, but go ahead and say what you were saying.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you get that kind of frequency energy, you're going to get all sorts of stuff happening.
It's amazing. Somebody was filming just driving by, and there was a Native American girl wearing a white dress, and she had her head down. It kind of reminded you of like The Grudge or something. She's just standing there by a sage bush.
That's good. You got me going here. Now I got the creeps again. You got me going now. Oh, I'm all jumping around here.
What the hell?
Oh, we see it in the corner of my eye. Oh, yeah.
She's back.
Yeah. That's
You're out
good.
there helping everybody. Who's going to help you?
That's
All
good.
right. So this break, we have Wosny Bronx from Jamaica and the Bronx in New York with Free Child and Strong Life. And then we also have King Cinnamon with Rosie. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. And this break is just a little over 15 minutes long. So make you some coffee, get you something to eat, hit the head, peek outside, see if you can find some UFOs.
I am a child of one who decided this life for me. I am a child of angel who decided this life for this one. I am a child of the world. I want to help all the kids in the world. Must be free, oh Lord. We must unite, 'cause we are alone, my people. We must be together. Give me your heart, word, people. People in love, people in love. Our children in the world suffer. In Africa, our children hurting. They were plundering Africa with the African complex. Say, let man who love to make us suffer. In Africa, our people need you. In Africa, our children call you. I am a child of one who decided this life for me. I am a child of angel who decided this life for this one. I am a child of the world. I want to help all the kids in the world. We can love each other. We can move forward. The children need love and protection. So many humans are suffering. One positive life, one positive life, one positive life. Whoa, Lord. One strength we no longer want your heart. Give us your heart. Say love we given you. We never apologize. Take back the love but belongs to from you. My people, we have to fight and we have to fight. My people in the night, right? Our new life. I don't believe that anyway. Human move and fight. Human move and fight. Human move and fight. Human move and fight. I am a child of one who decided this life for me. I am a child
yeah, it's funky on the beat.
Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, cinnamon, do it softly. I said you wine your body, eat the sweetie, sweetie. Make it rock my body, I am feeling horny. Make it touch my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you touch me, you got me confused. All my men, they better. All my guys, they better. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. All my men, they better. All my guys, they better. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Imarama, Imarama, Rosie. Go bere muketa, oya muko mukeji, oya bere muketa, daddy mu eko, omo ni ko mukeji, daddy bere muketa, omo ni fún mi lẹ́yìn, daddy fisi, omo ni ejo, daddy saucy, omo ni ejo, daddy kosi, omo ni ejo, daddy kahin kosi, omo ni ejo, daddy and his baby, them there for corner, daddy begin the touch, and the girl the holla, now daddy begin the open the shirt collar, now something come up, daddy begin the sucker, daddy mu eko, omo ni ko mukeji, daddy bere muketa, omo ni fún mi lẹ́yìn, daddy fisi, ọmọ ní ẹjọ́, daddy saucy, ọmọ ní ẹjọ́. All my men they gbèrò, all my guys they gbèrò. Imarama, Rosie, Imarama, Rosie. All my men they gbèrò, all my guys they gbèrò. Imarama, Rosie, Imarama, Rosie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Cinnamon, do it softly. I see the wine your body, eat the sweetie. Shake it rock my body, I am feeling horny. Shake it up my body, I am feeling sweetie. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Suck my boost, you got my body loose. Anytime you talk me, you got me confused. Fisi, amani, ejo, daddy saucy, amani, ejo, daddy kosi, amani, ejo, daddy contact, amani, ejo, daddy comfort, daddy consist, amani, ejo, daddy con 8, daddy 120, amani, ejo, daddy 18, daddy 240, amani, ejo, daddy 360, daddy and the baby, them there for corner, okay, begin the touch, and the girl the holla, daddy begin the open the shirt, I something come, daddy begin the sucker. Daddy move, echo, ọmọ ní pẹ́ mú kejì, daddy bẹ̀rẹ̀ mú kẹta, ọmọ ní fún mi lẹ́yìn, daddy fisi, ọmọ ní ẹjọ́, daddy saucy, ọmọ ní ẹjọ́. All my men they gbèrò, all my guys they gbèrò. Imarama,
Oh yeah, it's funky on the beat.
Babylon make you suffer. Babylon make you suffer. Babylon make you suffer. Babylon make you suffer. What is desire? Young life. We are ready to fight. Hard life for my people. I don't know why my people live this life. I don't know why my people live this life. I don't know how to fight, 'cause my people suffer. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you want, Babylon? I don't understand why this world is so strange, strange with my people. I don't know how to fight, but if we are together, it will work. It will work. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Babylon no have no hearts. 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 My people, you have to survive. Yeah, you must live with you and make your own way. You must not give up. The beginning of the revolt will start. We need to follow our true destiny. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't know why my people live this life. I don't know why my people live this life. The obstacle we face, yeah, is Babylon. The world is a good place, yeah, for our freedom. You take everything, you don't bring anything, yeah, yeah. Young life, all anti-dread. We must believe in a magical, powerful force that unite us, and not just these people stay speechless again. We don't want to talk. No, it's time to fight, yeah. We start talking. Babylon make you suffer. 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 What is desire? Young life. We are ready to fight.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. That was Hosni Bronx and King Cinnamon there on the break. For those of you asking, we had someone in the chat over here asking about that. A morning star. Travis, are you with us? Covering a lot of bases, and some people find a lot of what we're talking about quite unbelievable, but I don't know. I believe in the astral and the different planes and all this stuff going on.
Oh yeah. It was Warner Braun Heisenberg and Mac Born and Rascal Jordan in 1926 who came up with the matrix mechanics, and that also fueled the whole wave function with I can't remember his name now. It starts with an E, but another smart individual out there who contributed to you know, the whole reality of the interconnectedness of I guess I should say, to everything, like the whole everything, the supporting setting, the substance of us, like the universe. You know what I mean? Like it's the connection, the astral realms, the next level, the inner life, like it's all connected, right? So that's what I mean when I say that, like all information, all forms of energy is available at all times, at every given state, right? Like at any given time. It's kind of wild. They did test studies, like for testing individuals, like in sealed rooms, and seeing if they could still telecommunicate telepathically, and they were able to. So shielding or structures and stuff like that do not hold the astral bodies or essence, or you know what I mean. So like these people are able to move and do these things and see these things, like inner earth and other dimensions and realities, and through our own being. And it's a matter of focusing and having our I should say our intention and our connection, our energies all aligned together, and to feel that energy through, right, and to make that connection, and so we can see that and get that inner guidance insight.
Yeah, it'd be a nice thing to tap into. And like you said, more and more people are doing it all the time.
Yeah. And, meditation's great. Like they always talk about aligning the lights within you, your 7 lights, the chakra lights and stuff like that. There's that the Eastern belief there of the 7 chakras and whatnot, right? But it's that spiritual alignment of the lights within you, and we always believed it too. It was in a representation of the Big Dipper, the 7 stars it takes to make up that. In our belief, and the Neo-Wuk belief, those are the 7 stars within us, and that's why we represented our pipe and pieced together in 7 pieces, and it's always like with that smoke from the peace pipe, Chinampa, it literally it aligns those lights within us and the frequency of the universe, and why we pray with that thing, and why we pray with within the lights. So like we always keep that in our mind, right? And so it's like it's a very it's a very old teaching about the 7 lights within us, and aligning, using those to align with the universe, right? And that was just a teaching, right? Like align with the 7 hearts within you and the universe above, and yeah, it was it's about that, right? And it was there. What was the other part of that question? Sorry, if you don't mind me asking again.
Just how everything's lining up, different dimensions, all this other stuff coming through these days, how everything is so much closer than it used to be, it seems. Yeah, I'm not quite
and that's
sure. I'm trying to rewind, go back.
And that's the whole connection with the earth and the planets, and like what it is the time is at a sonic resonance within the galaxy, within our solar system, our soul system, and it's literally back to the ancient times. Like it's finally our gravitational waves and everything are finally realigning with the other planets, and it took a lot of Venus's energy and the sun's energy to create a lot of the other planets in the solar system. So a lot of it is now aligned. So it's like, with that being said, a lot of that energy, that light, those portals, those things that were once natural and everyday occurrence to us are taking place again. And a lot of the older frequencies and lower frequencies are kind of falling off, and that's all part of it too, right? Like it's just natural for us to gravitate and find these new innovations, and get these new visions and these new things, and realigning with truth again, right, within us, and realigning with all the information of the universal galactic, right? And and how that benefits us, right? Like, this is where people will get like I was saying before, I mentioned that people get visions and messages. Some people will get like, innovations, inventions, things will people will get like, they'll be led down paths like of knowledge and information that will reveal new truths that will eventually, help enlighten the rest of the folks around the world, right? And we all grow together, and eventually, it's we see the light, right? Eventually, like it's happening here, like in these small little increments, and allowing that truth into our world is a whole nother step, right? Like for people, it is kind of hard to break out of the matrix, and a lot of the things I did say were a bit revealing, and it's a little hard for people to grasp that, but there are real studies, and it is a real phenomenon. Astral and remote viewing meditation and all that. It's a real phenomenon, and it's been, like I said, being studied for at least the last 60, 70 years now. But in Native spirituality, this was in Niuwak, this is this in our beliefs, it was this was always a common occurrence, like seeing into the next level of spirituality and walking these paths and dealing with these dimensionals, and to meeting the extraterrestrials, Akakowasaka Samana, the Akakowasaka Siki, the space, I should say the star beings, the star spirits, the star nations, all that, right? All of them coming down, and like this was always a natural occurrence to us. A lot of them came down and spoke to our people in different ways. Sometimes it was through private communications. Sometimes it was abroad. Sometimes it was during like for example, the one time I was in the sweat, and the being came right down into the sweat to heal us and do some healing and bring its energy into the ceremony. It didn't speak or say anything, but it was there with a loving presence, and we felt that vibe, and it brought a luminescent pink light to it, right? And it literally sat down in the ceremony and chilled out for a moment before it took off back into the cloud ship that it was in, the technology that it was able to manifest through, and and that's broad daylight. Like all of our ceremonies that take place during the day, like it's like those kind of heavy ceremonies are like with the sun and whatnot, and this being came right down into our ceremony in our sweat lodge, and did some healing and took off. And like I said, and then other times they're way more personal, and pick people up right into their ships, right into their starship. They'll come down and they'll pick them up and bring them around. Like the one medicine man that shared with me his story about where they brought him around to show him the beings, or not the beings, but the people of Earth who were struggling with addictions and stuff across Canada, right? And they couldn't understand, like, why are these people sick like this? They didn't understand, like, what's going on with them. And then he had to explain to them what man-made drugs are and what those are doing to the people. And then they upgraded his healing capabilities, his energy to help people beat the drug addictions and stuff like that. And he did that till his very end, like his dying days. But what's crazy about that medicine man was he grew up in the mines, worked in the mines, and he used to be a singer, and he was drunk, and then one day a rock fell down, and it fell on him, and it actually killed his brother, but it broke his leg, and he wasn't able to walk. And he went and did ceremonies for healing. Yeah, he went to a bunch of ceremonies, and like after a while, like he wanted to walk again, right? Continue his life. So, but when he did the ceremonies, he got a different path from Creator, and Creator said you have to become a healer, and you have to walk this path of the medicine world and heal people around the land, and I'll give you your ability to walk again, kind of deal, right? And so as long as you heal others, right? And so he had to live that life, and that's what he did. He wasn't allowed to live in a house. That was another thing. He couldn't live in a house. Like he actually had to live like in a tent and like travel around the lands and stuff. Like that's like it was like honest, like he lived like that. Like he couldn't own a house or anything, like but he was able to walk to his very end. Like he never needed a wheelchair or anything, but he was granted the ability to walk again and heal people and stuff. So it was real wild. Like he had a lot of stories, and he was a very interesting dude, and he taught me a lot of like how to build what do you call it, like spiritual barriers, protections, and he taught me a lot about the star nations and people and whatever. Well, he told me a lot about like the beings and how they came down and stuff, and like how they interacted and dressed. And he said he told me about their abilities with the healing and stuff and whatnot. And then as I got older and I had my own experiences, and then I started to see the revelations of it all myself, like the suits and like how they shine, and when the ships turn on, and how they're connected to them spiritually and psychically, and how they use the little I guess they're like little geometric shapes to move the craft and stuff. They just hold it in their hand, and psychically, they can move it whatever way they want, up, down, whatever, flying around, even in the waters and through mountains and stuff. And yeah, and then even the like their technology, like the craft themselves, the metals are made with crystals and rubies and like all these like different kind of like different like mixed with metal, so it's like clear metal when it turns on, and like it can like and the vibration frequency is like it's like it's not only anti-gravitic, it's like also antimatter, so it can like go right into like mountains, and like they can actually harvest crystals right from them whenever they want, or they can even go into the sun, and all these like real awesome things. Like it's like it's a whole nother level with that, right? And but yeah, it's like so for us, like that whole that world was always a reality, I mean, like even like the spirit world, and like it's all mapped out in our medicine wheels too. We have spiritual medicine wheels which show where all like the human spirits are located in the east, and with the rising of the sun, and then the south is like where all you get like dimensionals and inner earth dimensional, like you get a lot of like the grasshopper beings and all those like the snake beings and stuff like that, and animal protector guardians and stuff. And then the west was like the direction of like the mysterious ones, the ones that came from like our like other realities, and like the ones that were like kind of like the elemental spirits, and like the ones that were like part of like the rock spirits and stuff like that. Those are like where those were located. And then the north was like the mystery and like the star nation, the star spirits, like the the galactic ancestors and stuff. Like that's the directions that we have them all mapped out, like the dimensionals, right? And all these depictions, like even like you go down to like down south in Alberta, and you see down there, and writing on the rocks, it's called, and you can literally see the shield guys. We like us crees, we carved out all of our enemies on those rocks, and you can literally see on different shields like the different designs for the different tribes. But also next to those shield guys, you see elongated dudes with horns. And you know what I mean? Like these are other beings, you know what I mean, that we fought against. These guys are different, right? Like different kind of creatures and stuff that we have depicted on there as well, like not just shield guys. So, and those rock carvings go back 30 years or 20,000 years. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying, like 30,000 years, 20,000 years. Like it's not 30 years, sorry, but you know what I mean? You get what I mean though. But they go back. So it's like like these occurrences and things are always part of our existence in our reality. So like it was never closed off in our societies, like these teachings and these knowledges about the lands and different tribes and different in fact we're more than welcoming to like we talk amongst each other and share some of these tales when we can, like when we meet each other at events or things. And we're always happy to meet one another and share these stuff. And to me, like I'm always happy when I come across beautiful information of the universe, and and I find like connections within my teachings, and just or I see the revelations myself from my own experience, right? And I'm just like, wow, like I always thought it was funny when they said that like the animals talk, and like when they told, like when I was growing up, they used to tell tales like, oh yeah, people were able to talk to the animals and stuff, and I didn't believe it, right? But then till you're astral traveling and you see an animal, and they all of a sudden they say something to you, and you're like, oh, and then you realize, and you're out, and you're like, hey, I was talking to an animal. I guess they were right. They do speak like, in that spiritual telepathic kind of way, right? Or even they see you in life, or they do something funny, or, they leave signs or significant, indications of, spiritual connection. right? And that's something we always believed in too, right? Because everything's connected in all ways. Like I was talking about, like the whole everything, like everything in existence is all connected to that spirit and that energy, that, you know. And so with that being said, is just seeing that connection and feeling that way through life, right? And walking the path and whatnot. But yeah, that's wild. Is there anything else? Anything else anyone wanted me to elaborate on or go about again?
Johnny Bonani had mentioned MK Ultra. I don't know if you wanted to talk at all on that.
Well, I have really no, like I said, I don't really like know too much about like the whole what the CIA and all that do throughout their business, their dark ways and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's, you know, it's like I hear a lot of others talk about it, so I'll just leave that to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have
Yeah,
about
I have a lot of
let's see, 25 minutes of the show. Oh yeah, she said something. Yes, the Seven Swords.
yeah. There's the dragon. Yeah, it's like a dragon swords and swords of light. You know, there's a whole bunch of tales to it. Like it ties to seven lights within us, you know, seven swords of truth. You know, it in the astral realm, these swords are pretty, in the spirit world, these swords are pretty significant in that sense. They do unlock a dragon. It almost becomes a dragon light within you, or within the person themselves, and this is like leads to awakening. Like, and that's like usually it travels up the kundalini of a person's soul, and this is like ancient Eastern teachings, and they talk about how the dragon will awaken the person into galactic liberation, or kind of like awakening, or, you know, like the big connection kind of deal. But yeah, that's very unique. She brought up that. Yeah, that's like Atlantean ties to the dragon cities and that whole seven lights, whatnot. You know, like I brought up the dragon warriors and Buddha's teachings. They talk about the seven lights there. I should say dragon monks.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The more time goes by, like the more that's revealed. Like a lot of these Buddhist statues that have been, you know, sitting in certain places forever, they do these X-rays or whatnot on them, and there's actual skeletons in there, like of monks that have like basically died in this certain form, and I don't know, they're kind of preserved in a certain way. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the mummification with gold, wild. Yeah, it's very unique way to like honor somebody too, like, you know, to put them, like, to make them a statue, like the Buddha statue, like, you know, maybe that was the dude's wishes. I don't know, you know, like it's cool too, like you know, like I said, that the mummification and stuff like that, it's all ties to Atlantean times too, right? And yeah, the whole honoring of the dead afterlife, like the life beyond, you know, the spirit and stuff like that, is like that's all Atlantean Egyptian like belief too. And same thing with us, like we always believe that too, like we do these ceremonies and stuff to prepare ourselves and make us connected more to the universe, so in spirituality wise, and we're more capable of being on the other side as well, right? Like, you know, whatever our mission is, or our purpose is on the next life, right? In the next wheel, or, you know, like it's like a whole next cycle, right? It's a next level, or as my uncle would like to say, the next dimension. Like he was that kind of guy. He'd say that. And so yeah, and he said that that was the guide, is your love. That's the only sight you have in that next realm, in the next world. So it's very important to always align with that love and light in your heart, and because that's really a guide. It really is. And so it's very important.
That's
and that's
awesome.
why, you know, yeah, it's like, it's very important to break free of that matrix, the structure that tries to break everyone's will and spirit down, and just find out what makes you happy, and do that, and yeah, follow through with that connection.
Johnny was wondering, so it's to do with her awakening, or is she supposed to do something in particular to get to that point? with
Oh,
the seven swords?
okay. Well, I would wait. I'd wait until you get all of them, right? Wait until you get all of them, because then the next part would probably come at that end, at that piece, or at the end, and and that's where one would decide, right, what they do with that. Yeah, that's a very very unique awakening, or thing you're bringing up. I'd focus in on that and see where it goes, you know, and follow what feels right, and yeah, I'll definitely check out some more things for you and get back to you about that. I know it's definitely
Awesome.
tied to the dragon stuff, so dragon cities, and like they used to say that like the Earth was a dragon, like a soul of a dragon boy, and he gave himself up to become the Earth, like the spirit, and that the veins of the Earth, the water, and all that are like the veins, the body of the dragon and whatnot. And remember that it was kind of cool that I showed you that picture. Remember that it was like a Google Earth imager, and it looked like a dragon in the water, dragon head. But anyway,
Wow.
like I said, it's all ties, and then the two cities, the dragon cities, it's all there throughout all the temples, even Gutepi Tepi, one of the older temples they found recently in where was it again, Indonesia or somewhere far like that. They found that temple, and the place literally has columns like serpents, reptilians, reptilian columns, and that's just part of that old dragon teachings and of Atlantis, and that old pre-existing culture of the time. I should say
Yeah, she said
sorry, what was that?
she said Tiamat. Is that what it's called?
No, this is like if you're referring to the old super world or something like that. No, this is like this is Earth still. This is just regular Earth. This is like what we're living on. This is like Eridanos times. This is this is like ancient times of like Atlantis, pre-Atlantis, Mu, when it was just Mu and stuff, and because Mu started off first, and then Atlantis was formed when all the colonies and stuff on Earth started to mingle, and trade was good and whatnot, and this is the dragon swords and stuff like that. You'll have to figure that out when you get them all. That's the part of it, right? Like it's a spiritual enlightenment, I'm guessing, like from the way it sounds in her case. I would wait till you get all 7 of them. But it's definitely old serpent connections there. Dragon's one of the oldest guardians. It goes right over to Australia with the rainbow serpent of the 7 light serpent. I don't know if you heard of that, but they also, ancient Aborigine, have and they're from the Pleiades too, like just in my people. They talk about the dragon serpent, rainbow serpent, and that wisdom serpent, it's a guardian of our galactic universe. It literally watches over our realm and dimension. It battles a lot of things on the daily. It's very cool. Like I've in our astral travel there, we had like over 48 different people flying with us, and we entered a dimension,
Wow.
and we were able to, like, we had to use the resonance of our love to create a sphere of love and protection, and we had to soul bind with it, all of us, and there was like about 4 of us, and to create that protection around us so we can enter that dimension. And we went in there. At first it was just this cold, like ice dimension that was just like it was like a cold ice dimension with mountains, and there was this like it was like almost like an energy cord that was just like connecting the two, like this dimension to this part of our universe that was just iced over and cold and whatnot. And we ended up going there. So we had a team that went out and wrecked the cord. There was these 4 mirrors that were creating illusions to protect the evils from us. So they would create illusions for us to fight with and stuff like that. So we had another team that destroyed the 4 mirrors. Then there was a root system that was connecting from that part of our dimension into all of us in this dimension. So we had to destroy this root system. So we had another team on that one. And I touched down on the ground to like take on all the dark robe reptilian spirits and all the AI spirits. And I was just running through them all with electricity and using different weapons and swords and stuff like that. So these are astral weapons, right? That this Janny's talking about as well. I've seen other people using swords as well, and like other warriors too. And anyway, as I was saying, they ended up bringing us, like sending a blue ice dragon on me, and it tried to like send the energy blast at me, like, and I was able to capture it, encapsulate it, and the way our spiritual armor or protection worked was like when something would fly at us, it would take like a million it would take like a million years to hit us. So it was like slowly coming at us. So we were able to deal with things like spiritually and create like spiritual blocks and like almost like dimensional bubbles and like sending them back. Like that's what I did. I sent the blast back at the dragon and it blew the head off, and I just felt the energy inside of me, and that's when I felt the light of the dragon, and I just started I just felt the energy just like flying up, and then it was like I seen the dragon coming by. That's what it was. It was like the big rainbow serpent came to help us, and it started like melting. Like when it came around, its presence literally started melting the ice around in that part of our frozen dimension, and literally the trees they grew, like they weren't growing, they were already grew, but they unthawed, and the lights of the leaves of the trees were glowing all magnificent colors, and like the grass was gold, and like everything looked all beautiful, and we restored it. And then we ended up like doing a big prayer to block that part of our dimension off from all the evils, and like we all did a big group prayer, and like I even called upon a big beaver spirit to come and make a big beaver dam to block off the evils from entering our dimension like that. And but yeah, like in that place, like we had, and then because we did that, after that, a lot of the codes and like the frequencies and everything, all the sonic resonances started going whoa, like a shamanic resonance, and everybody started getting all these DNA codes and like back, because that part of our Atlantean history and everything was blocked off in that dimension. So like when everything was fragmented and all the whole dimensional like escape of reality, the matrix, right? So when we did that, we brought back those fragments and those data codes. So a lot of people are going to be getting a lot of that memory back, and a lot of those, those ancient teachings, and a lot of those ancient frequencies and sonic resonance with the planet, right? And that unity of the galactic can come back, right? And so it was like, it's like a healing thing, and that's what the ET wanted us to do this for our planet and our people. And this is everybody, like these 48 people were individuals from all over the world, like, and like this isn't just me, like this is like everyone across the world, and yeah, it was wild. And so like I said, and ever since then I've been getting more of this, like just a lot of this information and a lot of different kind of like teachings coming out of the woodworks, like literally out of the trees, and like yeah, and like, so it's like connecting with that and opening back up to the reality of our existence, right? And breaking that the matrix hold that society puts on us. So
right. And it's glitching all the time. There's birds freezing in the air, planes freezing in the air. I saw one in Phoenix that was just sitting there. I'm like, this isn't possible.
Yeah, definitely. It has its little hiccups, right? And just like little things, like this all of a sudden just weirdly change, and we just take those occurrences and try to investigate into them, right? Like, and what's happening, and in the grid and whatnot, and figuring out what's on the other side, like of some of these spiritual things. Sometimes we could even we'll even go back, like if we find a problem area, we'll go back to where, like, how did this thing get here? And so then we'll have to dimensional travel, like, and cut through time and to see into the past, and meet some of the creatures and beings that dropped off some of the stuff, and we're like, what are you doing here, or what's going on? Like, why are you doing this? And then we end up finding out they're just like the middle guys, like, hey, we're just transferring this. This is our business stake, but we're transfer guys. We're just the trucker dudes. You know what I mean? Like, we just brought this here. Like, terrified, and then then it always comes down to like dark forces using some of the people just to move things over here, get things over here and whatnot, right? Like when I say dark force, I mean like dark entities and of the galaxy and dimensions, right? But yeah, we take care of all those guys. We get rid of them.
Yeah, Robert does some astral stuff. Like he'll go and do like astral killing or whatnot. So that's pretty interesting. Maybe he could join you guys' group. Some booty.
Yeah, we have a few groups. We just started an American group that takes place every Sunday or so, every second Sunday or so. It's a new group. Like I said, whenever we can, we'll get the groups going and stuff like that and whatnot. But yeah, I'll have to link up with Rob for sure. Yeah, the remote viewing stuff. It's wild. It's a wild thing. Like I said, information of the universe and connecting with it and deciphering it all and making notes and all that. And yeah, it's pretty open. Like dealt with everything from mantids to reptilians to all sorts of dimensional beings. Like you name it, man. AI extraterrestrials and all sorts of those monstrous kind of beings, but we've gotten rid of all of them. Like what I mean, like it's been a process of just us taking back our power of our being here on planet, right, our existence, and using it to drive the other forces away that shouldn't be here, that aren't meant to be here. Like they're not meant to be here, we're meant to be here. You know what I mean? Like so we're establishing that point and saying no to the agendas and the evil agendas and not consenting to any of their evilness and and taking care of business, right? And that's been kind of like what's been happening lately in that terms of galactic kind of like front lines, I guess I should say. I do deal with Pleiadian energy too. Like Pleiadians, like I do see them on their ships and stuff. Like I do meet them in their rooms and like their astral rooms and their crystal healing rooms. And I've walked their ships and hung out with them. Like I said, it's just it's a very high frequency like getting into that thought, right, into that connection, I should say. And it's really you don't realize it until you're kind of like already in there kind of deal, right? It's kind of like once you start to do it, like make the connections and stuff, it kind of just starts becoming second nature, and you start to log in more, like tap in more quickly, and like it's a very unique process once you start to make your connections and which connections you're connecting to, right? There are times when it's just open and you just allow your mind to take you, and you go up and you look at the grid, you see the earth and all the energy, the golden veins of the earth, and all the you see all the lights, and then sometimes you'll see this dark like cloud, or like one time there was just dark clouds and we ended up clearing a storm. There's a few other times where we were able to just see like other things. Like it was like like you see like swirls or vortexes, different things. Then you go down there, or you'll see ships like traveling. Like one time we followed these black cubes and followed them right into like they went to underground bases and stuff, and they took care of things there and whatnot, right? And a lot of these bases don't make in these dimensional frequencies because they're lower vibration frequencies and whatever, right? And then those affect our Earth grid as a whole. So and that affects the energy, and so like that's how we'll locate them, right? And identify them as dark energies or dark whatever, and it could be anything down there, right? Like so.
Yeah, Johnny was wondering, do you find that after remote viewing that in your awake day you're still attached to the frequency of remote viewing?
Yeah. It's like a spiritual energy that just almost it gives you like a whole set of like almost like energy, like you just feel like just like it's kind of like high vibration. So when you like say like, because like most of the time I have to connect with a lot of people from across the world. So like I'll be up at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m, and then all of a sudden it's like the energy is just up. I'm just up still right till like the next day. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even, you know what I mean? Like it just and then like then there's like, you know, it just, you know, just keeps you awake. You know what I mean? Like you just have like a energy vibe, and you know, and like trust me, I do sleep, I do rest, and like, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like it is like it does happen though. You do get like a energy, like a boost or something. Like it does keep you awake. Like you are yeah, high
Pumped up.
vibrations, right? Yeah.
So we are in the last 6 minutes of the show. So I wanted to give you a chance for to share with our listeners and our viewers your books, where to find them, and also I know you're selling your art not just on canvas but on T-shirts and stuff as well. So can you share that with our friends? Oh, there's one.
Yeah, I got some T-shirts and cups available. You know, just get a hold of me, and I sell them for reasonable prices. You know, no one else has these shirts out there, so it's like, you know, you're gonna get something unique. You know, right? I designed the shirts. You know, just for out of like, you know, people really enjoyed my books. Like a couple of the Fort Sunder shirts are part of the book Fort Sunder, which is on royalroad.com under my name, Radiant Summer Moon. I have 17 books out there, all of which are just wild, you know, I guess I should say works of just, you know, creativity and wildness. What can I say? What else? Yeah, I'm also doing, I do a lot of music, Planetary Wisdom. It's on YouTube as well, under that name. Also, I do, what else do I do here? I do my paintings. I sell my paintings online as well too. Get a hold of me. And oh yeah, my card readings. I do tarot card guidance readings for the awakened. You know, I do weekly. You can follow me there under the name Blue Lightning Cards. I do weekly readings on YouTube. You can also, if you want private readings, you can get a hold of me as well on Facebook, or email me at astraltravelworkreadings at gmail.com.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Tessa, for allowing me to do your shows. I'm going to send your painting, by the way, tomorrow, Monday. I'm just waiting for the post office to open, and hopefully I got my mail in, and I'll send off your mail. And yes, so much changes.
I know when you said that, I was like, awesome, super stoked. Can't wait till it shows up.
Yes.
You'll have to do
I figured
on the air or something. Look what Travis
Yeah.
made.
You'll put it somewhere there in the background amongst all the other wildness going on.
Find a spot.
Yeah.
There's one around
So
here
great.
somewhere.
Thank you for allowing me to come on the show and just rant on, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it was, I've been meaning to do another show or radio show like this, and it was a pleasure being here, and it's always a blast doing your shows. And so thank you for having me.
I'm super stoked that you were on. We covered so many bases, and I feel like, damn, I wish we had like another, you know, hour or whatever, because there's so much stuff to cover. But you know, we'll just have to do it again another time. And we also have the forum coming up. So
Right. Yeah, exactly.
thanks again so much, Travis, for being our guest tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's been epic. And yeah, those of you out there listening, make sure you look up his art, his books, his shirts. Like, there's all kinds of goodness out there. Yes, thanks so much again, Travis, for being here.
See you guys later. Peace out.
So not going on. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and wherever else beyond the Omniverse you've been listening tonight. It's a pleasure having you. I'm glad you were able to listen to what Travis had to say. There's so much awesomeness going on out there. Scary time, but like you said, love and light. We all got to stick together and lift each other up out of this crazy world we're in. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Night night, love and light. Take care of my yous, take care of each other, and we'll see you back here next weekend. Same crazy time, same crazy place. Saturday, we got story time. I might do something a little different, just depends on how the week goes. And then we have Stephen D. Ubaney on Sunday, and we're going to be talking about his friendship with Lisa Marie Presley, how he believes that she was murdered, as well as Skinwalker Ranch and all kinds of fun stuff. Bye, Travis.
Peace out. Later.
Bye, everybody.